Hello, 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 hello.
Good evening. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4 through 10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118, Verizon Fios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. The Board will take formal action of payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Rydell?
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of the state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that the act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call, please.
Dunn.
Here.
Francisco.
Here.
Giordano.
Here.
Jodry.
Here.
Mazzone.
Here.
Slade.
Here.
Solokowski.
Here.
Venkatesan.
Present.
Dantuno.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance Thank you. Christina, can you do the code of ethics, please?
The board member will carry out his or her responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with fellow board members, ensure that all are well run.
Thank you. We have our district goals and our board goals.
We took the approval of minutes off.
That's what I was like, wait a minute. Okay. This report from the student rep.
Good evening, everyone. The students of Old Bridge High School had another great month. Since the last meeting, many seniors went on our class trip to Disney. We had a great week and want to thank our class advisors, administrators, nurses, and chaperones who made it possible. Last Saturday, the Air Force JROTC won 6 trophies in the Washington Township drill competition. Last week in school, juniors took their NJGPA testing. Also, FBLA had their states competition in Atlantic City. They had multiple top 10 qualifiers, and several students will continue to the National Leadership Conference. The winter sports recognition ceremonies were held last week as well. Spring sports have begun, and our athletes are preparing for successful seasons. This past Saturday, indoor percussion took first place at their competition. This week, Play Unified is hosting events for Neurodiversity Celebration Week to showcase how we all think, move, process, and communicate in different ways. The spring musical, 42nd Street, will be this Thursday through Saturday at 7 o'clock. Just a reminder, all tickets must be purchased online. We are heading into the 4th marking period at the end of this month, and we are looking forward to finishing the year with lots of fun activities and events.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion for recognition, please?
Ms. Owen, motion.
Second.
Francisco will second.
Matt, would you like to do the retirements? Would you like to do the retirements? Okay. Would anyone? I did it for 4 or 5 years, I guess. That's fine. I thought it was something you enjoyed doing. I apologize. I'll take it over. That's fine. I'd like to congratulate Ms. Serengel, Ms. Zentman, and Ms. Mailer for their hard work and their dedication to Old Bridge. We've got 73 years between the 3 of them, and so we congratulate all 3 of you on your retirement and wish you the best of luck and thank you for your service. Any other discussion on the recognition? Okay, roll call, please.
Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solokowski.
Yes.
Venkatesan.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes,
Resolution 1 for recognition passes.
thank you very much. Mr. Sediniano, would you like to do a superintendent's report?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Working with instructional council,
they provide information that I've been doing each year now, giving the board and the public at least 30 days to ponder and think about, because it impacts families differently and it definitely has an impact as you plan your educational and social events. So that is the 26-27 calendar. Board members will see in their packet 3 choices that were presented that have the support of the administration in varying forms. They're all in draft. There's a purple, a red, and a blue. I'm alerting the public that if you want to see them, you don't have to all get at once. There is a QR code in the back that has access to them. You can take a look at them. There's not going to be any action taken tonight, so it's not like you have to get there because the board's going to vote on it tonight and you want to know what they're voting on. But these are the information that the board will look at. One, we have 181 instructional days contractually with our instructional staff here in the district. We have 2 built-in emergency snow days, 3 professional days, and that equates to 186 days that we have to fit in our educational platform within the months of September through the months of June. Some things you have to know: the staff and the students cannot start before September 1st. That's contractual. The election day in June calls for a primary, and it falls within the school year. It's one of those situations that's kind of new to us. We've always dealt with the one in November as election day, but the law has changed, whereas our security staff, which we rely upon, is not, a private security company. They are sworn officers to this Old Bridge Township. They do a fantastic job, our police department, protecting our schools. But as part of that legislation, a uniformed officer is not allowed to be at a polling place within 100 feet of the polling entrance. So while it wouldn't make a large difference to, let's say, place Old Bridge High School, Carl Sandburg, at our smaller elementary schools, it would be difficult, and you couldn't have an officer at the schools. So making the primary election a date in which we'd have to look for using it for either in-service day or what have you, because we cannot have school on that day. So all that being said, it feeds into the end of the school year too, where we have a large high school, anywhere from 600 to 750 students graduate. We need a large venue, and that is close by because a lot of our families are challenged being traveling on that day. So we transport our students to the PNC Art Center in Homedale, and the parents pick them up there after a beautiful event. But as you can imagine, that venue is not open every day for us. I always joke that once Wednesday through Saturday come around, Eddie Money and Oriole Speedwagon kind of take the wheel, and we're only left to Mondays and Tuesdays, so we kind of have to have our graduation within Monday or Tuesday. So those are some of the restraints we look at. So if you see the purple calendar, and it's a challenging school year, and it's cyclical. We get this all the time. Whereas Labor Day is late. Labor Day is not until September 7th in 2026. If we waited till after Labor Day for all staff and students, it would really push us to the last day of June. So in all 3 calendars, and this was devised and suggestions coming from a committee of teachers, parents, administrators, and so forth, recognizing that it's not feasible to not begin the professional development days prior to Labor Day. So in calendars, purple calendar, the red calendar, and the blue calendar, the in-service days for staff all begin before Labor Day on the 7th. The exception is that in the blue calendar, the students don't come in until a Monday after Labor Day. In the purple and the red calendar, the students come in on Thursday and have school on Thursday and Friday, both early dismissal days, as we've come accustomed to the first 2 days of school. There are other nuances in this year's calendar that are kind of different and more difficult. One is this is the time when Easter and Passover do not line up. Usually they do line up within a week of each other, and it makes it easier to pick out those holidays and address them. In this particular calendar, they're a month apart. So if you have a holiday for both, then it becomes very difficult. And one of the last things I wanted to address, and this is something this Mr. Venkatasan has let me know is very important to him as a board member and his community that he speaks to, is that he wants inclusiveness in the holidays, and we wanted to give that as an option too. So you see that in the red calendar, it includes Eids and includes Lunar New Year and so forth, some of the holidays we don't have. Again, I never want to take that away from the board, not let you have that decision to support your taxpayers and your community citizenship. So those are the three choices. I will have, it's already on the website, we just didn't unlock it yet for you to everyone see it. By tomorrow, all the whole community to be able to see it. They can look at it for a month, come to the agenda meeting next month, give their thoughts and opinions. This board, I trust you'll have a month to look at this and see what best represents the community for you and your opinion, and we can have a decision about this at the April meeting. Okay? Any questions from the board?
I would really like to hear the public's opinion once you guys hear about it, because the calendars are, I mean, I want to say very different, but they're not like a week here versus like a few days here. I definitely want to hear the community's opinion, so please let us know next month.
Thank you very much.
There is one holiday is missing. That's for the Festival of Lights, Diwali, but we can work through it offline. I can send you some information about it.
It may be that that's on a Saturday.
Okay, let me look
Yes.
it up. I have not seen that far
Yes.
yet. Thank you.
I believe that I asked about that as well, and it fell on a Saturday this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any correspondence, Mr. Whiteout?
Yes, there are several. And Chris, you may have to start the timer for some of
Yes,
this.
you are subject to the 5-minute limit like every other public speaker.
Okay. Correspondence 1 is from Mary Jane Santiago. Hello. I had every intention of attending the meeting held on Tuesday evening. However, my grandson, who I am raising, wound up in the emergency room. It's been a rough couple of days, but all is good now. I attended a recent meeting and spoke on behalf of Mr. Cittadino. Since I don't do very well speaking in front of an audience, maybe this will better convey my feelings. Dave Cittadino is a class act. I met him many years ago when he first came to Jonas Salk Middle School. Mr. Popovich was the principal at that time. My older daughter had already graduated from JSMS, and my younger daughter was still attending. My younger daughter had some issues, so I came to know Mr. Cittadino very well. He always made time to deal with anything that was going on. He was always diplomatic and kind, no matter the issue. The kids loved him, even when they had to be reprimanded, my daughter included. As a parent, I appreciated him more than I can ever put into words. If Mr. Cittadino's contract should not be renewed, I honestly believe that it will be a great disservice to our children, to our grandchildren. He knows Old Bridge Township, and the kids know and love him. It's not fair to him, and most of all, and certainly not fair to the children of Old Bridge Township Public Schools. Please put all personal issues aside, as they have no place in this decision. Please look at this realistically and make the correct choice. It is time to make the right choice for our children. That choice would be to renew Mr. Cittadino's contract. I have no doubt in my mind that many, many others in our township would be in total agreement. I respectfully request that you consider this with an open mind. Put all personal issues aside. Look at his track record. That speaks for itself. Thank you for your time and for your consideration in this matter. Respectfully, Mary Jane Santiago. Okay. Second correspondence is from Katie Chung. Dear Board of Ed board members, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to express my strong support for the renewal of Superintendent Cittadino's contract. Our district has faced significant financial challenges, and it is critical that we continue to rely on stable leadership to navigate those ongoing difficulties. For the past 7 years, our district has been seen a steady decrease in state aid, being designated as an S2 district. Each year, the loss of state funds has only increased, and with this impending financial crisis, it is not the time to change leadership. Superintendent Cittadino has demonstrated the experience and dedication needed to guide us through these tough times, and it is crucial that we keep him in place to us moving forward. In addition to the financial burden of hiring a new superintendent, which includes search, firm fees, advertising, and relocation expenses, it's important to note that Superintendent Cittadino does not currently take health insurance, which saves the district $35,000 annually, which will probably increase with inflation. If we were to hire a new superintendent, the district would incur an additional $35,000 in health insurance costs on top of their salary, further straining our budget. Superintendent Cittadino has been an active and visible leader, frequently attending events and engaging with the community, not just sitting behind a desk. His leadership is well respected and his commitment to the district is unwavering. In these challenging times, we need a seasoned and dedicated leader like him to ensure that the continued success of our district. Please make a responsible decision and renew Superintendent Cittadino's contract. His experience and leadership are invaluable to our district's future. Sincerely, Katie Chung, OB parent. Correspondence number 3 is from Michelle Mann. Dear Mr. Wydell, please read the below email aloud at the Tuesday, March 18th Board of Education meeting. Dear Board of Education members, I am writing to express my support for the renewal of Mr. Cittadino's contract. As a parent in this district, I am deeply concerned about the financial challenges we are currently facing. With the ongoing loss of state aid and additional budget cuts looming, now is not the time to change leadership. I believe replacing Mr. Cittadino at this time would be both disruptive and costly. Hiring a new superintendent is not a quick or inexpensive process. Between search fees, advertising, possible relocation costs, and a new salary, including an additional $35,000 for health insurance that Mr. Cittadino does not require, we would be adding unnecessary expenses when every dollar should be going to our students and schools. Even appointing an interim superintendent would come with costs and a steep learning curve for someone unfamiliar with our district. Superintendent Cittadino has consistently led with dedication and stability, and we need his experience to guide us through these difficult financial times. Renewing his contract is the fiscally responsible and right decision for our district and our children. Sincerely, Michelle Mann. Correspondence 4 is from Stephanie Mahmood, Stephanie Field. Dear members of the board, Mr. Cittadino has done so much for the kids of Old Bridge and has had a positive impact on the school district, period. My daughter participated in a full-day pilot program at Grissom under Mr. Cittadino's leadership, which later led to a successful full-day program for all students. Over the past 11 years, my daughter has become a high honor student involved in numerous activities, including the National Honor Society, French Club, youngest VP of French Honor Society, a honors tutor for the district, orchestra, and a violinist, all while in mostly honors and AP classes. I thank Mr. Cittadino and the teachers for my daughter's academic success. This is why his contract should be renewed. This shouldn't even be a discussion. You are trying to sell me on the fact that Earth is flat when it is clearly proven around. Dave is a proven winner and champion for our kids. Is he perfect? No, but neither is anyone else on the board or any human being. We are perfectly flawed, imperfect people, but our flaws and imperfections make us better people. Those very unique aspects of ourselves actually help us make better decisions and choices for our future, which has been demonstrated for the last decade by Dave. The man has brought joy to the children, and he has molded our district to stand out. He is beloved by the majority of the township. People have flocked to Old Bridge because of the success of our school system. We have recovery from COVID loss under him despite a lot of false info to the contrary. My daughter is a prime example of that recovery. She was a 6th grader when COVID happened, never returned until late in 7th grade. She has been completely successful, as I stated in the above. My daughter only has 1 year left, and I want other parents' children to have the same opportunities and success as she did under that same leadership. I like to now provide factual information in regards to being fiscally responsible to our school system after listening to the last several meetings and research. For the past 7 years, our district has faced continuous reductions in state aid as an S2 district, with funding cuts growing each year. According to our business administrator, we have exhausted all available options to address those deficits. Last month, Trenton just announced at least a 3% cut to our budget in the amount of $730,282, and there are alarming predictions of even deeper reductions ahead. Last year alone, the district lost $12 million in funding, and this year's cuts are expected to be even larger. Meanwhile, operating costs, salaries, healthcare, school security, and essential services continue to rise, just like household expenses impacted by inflation. At this critical moment, changing leadership would be a costly and asinine mistake. Superintendent Dave Cittadino has the experience and institutional knowledge to guide us through this financial crisis. Why on earth does getting rid of a superintendent who doesn't receive health care like others and is in fact lowest paying superintendent of this district size and wants to be here? Hiring a new superintendent is a lengthy process, it's typically taking 9 months to a year. It is also expensive, with costs extending beyond salary to include search firm fees, advertising, and possible relocation expenses totaling more than $50,000. Totally not responsible. Furthermore, Superintendent Cittadino does not take health insurance, as I mentioned, saving the district $35,000 annually. Any new hire will require this additional cost on top of their salary. Even an interim superintendent would come with significant expenses, including salary, benefits, and the challenge of leading a district with 14 schools and hundreds of staff without prior experience with our operations. A breakdown of hiring costs includes search firm fees, $13,000 to $30,000 plus, advertising, costs to attract top candidates, relocation expenses if the hire comes from the outside the area, salary and benefits, varies by district and experience, additional costs, background checks, contract negotiations, and onboarding. With severe budget cuts looming, this is not the time for an expensive and disruptive leadership transition. Retaining Superintendent Cittadino ensures stability and experienced leadership during this financial crisis. As for those actively working against him, your actions show a lack of respect for our students and the leadership that has brought stability and success to our district. The audacity to challenge a man with decades of experience, dedication, and the credentials to lead effectively is astounding. Based off my... Is that it, or is that a minute? 1 minute? Based off my research, you all will cost us money we don't have. Also keep in mind, majority of this township stands with Mr. Cittadino. That is a fact. Thank you for your time. The keyboard warrior, a patriot and sworn civil servant to America, Stephanie Mahmood, Stephanie Field. I'm going to take a breath for a second.
You need some water? You need a water.
We got a water? Thank you.
There we go.
Is there more?
There's 2 more. That was on the mic, too. All right, here we go. Number 5. This is from Scott Mazzella. Dear Board of Education members, for the record, I just want to thank the Board of Education for continuing allowing the people from this town and beyond to practice their First Amendment right to speak. As those of us who attend those meetings know, it's no rare thing to sit, sometimes for hours, allowing everyone a chance to speak. That podium is a powerful tool that can deliver news of achievement, victories, and hope from around the district. But the podium also allows some to bloviate, gaslight, stretch truths, or outright lie. It is my sincere hope that the board does not take into consideration any false or misleading comments from the public when deciding the fate of our superintendent. As I've said from the podium in the past, David Cittadino is a superintendent of many, but cares as deeply for the individual as he does for the district as a whole. We have heard the testimony of so many who have spoken of the good work Dave has done here. The outside world, too, has noticed his leadership. The county has awarded him for it, and has even placed him on vital committees hoping to expand his brand of leadership beyond the borders of our town. He has united the district with his creative invocations at the start of each school year. He is out and about throughout the district all school year long, often with Daisy at his side, helping kids with anxiety or just connecting with students and stakeholders. He has also shown ingenuity, warmth, and a keen ability to connect with students and their families from the time they enter the district until the time they graduate at the PNC. We are fortunate to have him here. So now it's your turn, about to make one of the most important decisions you'll make as a board member, a moment that will be remembered. You are forced to make the decision about our superintendent just as budget setbacks are predicted to be even worse than this year than last. A decision that comes as our ability to plug holes in our budget has been largely exhausted from previous years. The costs to run the district keep going up. The funding from the state has proven unreliable and unsustainable. Fortunately, you have the chance to keep our acclaimed superintendent at a reasonable salary as compared to his peers, avoiding a costly search for a replacement who may end up costing more in the long run, given potential relocation and medical benefit costs. It makes little fiscal sense to throw the baby out with the bathwater. For a board that often talks about fiscal responsibility, it would be baffling why you would go down a road that makes things more difficult and more expensive for the district in the future. Make no mistakes, this vote is about more than just renewing a contract. This is a vote that decides the entire trajectory of Old Bridge Township Public Schools. As we continue to navigate a torrent of financial storms, do we want an experienced, proven captain at the helm or not? As most of those affected are our children, I hope we would. Consider your choices extremely carefully. We're running out of navigable water, and this storm is not going away anytime soon. The longer David Cittadino is at the helm, the better it will be for all of us. Thank you, Scott Mazzella. Okay, last one here is from Ilya Hemlin. Mr. Wydell, please read the email aloud at the next Board of Education meeting. To all this matter concerns, I am a lifelong resident of Old Bridge and a graduate of the school system. I've had the privilege to be a part of the first class when Miller School reopened, as well as when the high school unified under one building. I'm writing to express my objection to any decision at this time to replace Superintendent David Cittadino. It's an objective fact that in New Jersey, property values are anchored by the school system. The Old Bridge School District is a jewel of the community. It's why so many families, including mine, moved here originally. It's why I chose to move back here to start a family of my own. And it's why we constantly hear from people referencing that they're from Staten Island, South Jersey, or anywhere else with a substandard school system. It's also why, especially in the last 5 years, Old Bridge's property values and appeal have skyrocketed compared to our neighbors. Removing Superintendent Cittadino would not only be disruptive to our district's stability and leadership, it's a foolhardy attempt to save money that will end up costing us exponentially. As numerous people pointed out, Mr. Cittadino's salary is in line with his colleagues in terms of district size and performance. And frankly, anyone who thinks his salary is too high should try to and find someone in any industry willing to manage hundreds of employees, over 8,000 high-value clients, and juggle complex state and federal regulations. I assure you, whatever we pay him, it's a steal. To speak nothing of the costs involved with hiring an executive search firm or the added cost of convincing someone to come to a district where they're subject to the political whims of board members. The options will be to either pay through the nose or find someone without the relevant experience. Anyone who has worked in large organizations knows about the chaos that comes with a leadership change, especially when the organization is operating effectively. The idea that a superintendent should be arbitrarily removed to shake things up is a further example of certain board members being woefully over their head in understanding the operations of an organization with the size and complexity of Old Bridge School District. I urge the board to stay the course and not make any rash decisions that will cripple the town financially. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Ilya Hemlin. That concludes correspondence.
Job well done. Thank you. Special committee reports?
Yes, we had 2 finance meetings, one on February 20th and one on March 6th to discuss the 2025 to 2026 school year budgets. We went over the revenues and expenditures, and due to the executive part of it, that's all I'll be able to say. Is that correct, Ms. Wydell? Any other words you'd like to say, or that covers it?
That does cover it, so
Okay.
thank you.
CPAG had a meeting on February 25th. Basically, they talked about building partnerships in IEP teams, collaboration, student involvement, building strategies for communication during an IEP meeting, and starting team meetings by sharing positive information about the students and ways for parents and family members and educators to do that. They also provided a really great resource document with links to guides and tips, information about facilitated meetings, as well as New Jersey state docs for parents and for families that you can get on the Special Education Parent Advisory Group Facebook page, or if you're not on Facebook, feel free to email me and I'll send it to you. But it has a lot of great links on it and a lot of great resources for parents and families. The next meeting will be on Wednesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. It's via Zoom and you have to sign up for it.
Did we cover the student life meeting last meeting? I don't think so, right? So we had the student life meeting, I think that was February 27th. That now encompasses athletics, extracurricular, DEI and care that we had last year. So I was late because I was on a video call, well, not me personally, as part of a group with the State Attorney General on all the changes that were going on. So I missed part of it, so Marjorie can fill in on part of it as well. And Kieran, I believe you were there, right? But Mr. Domino from the athletics department went over Title IX, which is the equalization with genders in sports, and, if this sport has it, then the coordinating, gender sport has to have all the same equipment and things like that. So, where we are with that, and, any improvements that we need to make, and long-term goals with our athletics. Extracurriculars, we went over the number of clubs in each school. Do you have those numbers, Marjorie? You're usually awesome with your notes. I was so late to that meeting because of a phone call. I apologize.
So, yeah, where did you end up? What did you wanna know?
Extracurriculars, but go ahead.
I have to look at my notes.
How many clubs we had?
Yeah.
But so that's all right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well,
we
right.
have an awesome amount of clubs from elementary, middle, and high school that our students can partake in it. And that was kind of the majority of the conversation that we had at that meeting. Any other meetings that have happened since last month? All right, cool. All right. So we are going to open the mic for the hearing of the residents on any agenda item only. This will include Mr. Cittadino's contract. There is a binder on the table, so sign in there first before we speak, and then just nicely form a line. And as you do, Mr. Parton has a few words.
Yeah. Obviously, there are a lot of people here tonight. Please know that everyone's going to be held to that 5-minute time limit. You'll get a beep at 1 minute to go. Please allow each other to speak. It's not going to improve anything or clarify anything for the board members to hear booing and talking over each other. And keep in mind, please, as board members have said before, this is a classroom, so let's model the right behavior for students. But we want to hear everybody, so please line up and tell us what you think.
Mr. Parton, am I correct in saying that they should be directing their comments to
Yes,
the board?
all to the board president. All comments are directly to the board president, and this is not a question and answer period. This is our time to hear what you have to say.
And this will be your only time to speak on any agenda item, including Mr. Cittadino's contract.
Right behind you at the table. For those that are interested in speaking, you start signing in now, if you want, and then approach the mic.
Yeah. Also, if you want to speak, if you can make a line.
Okay. What I'm about to say is not intended to be disrespectful. It is just an observation.
Please just state your name first as well.
Sure. Dr. Anita Greenberg Belli, resident of Old Bridge. After watching the March 11th Board of Ed meeting, I felt it was necessary to speak, and I find it unfortunate I have to do so. The superintendent sets the tone for the district, not only the students, but all the employees. 12 years ago, when Mr. Cittadino became superintendent, he was advised to get his doctorate. I'm curious why that did not happen. Does he not value education? Mr. Cittadino has the opportunity to set an example, and he did not. How many courses per year would Mr. Cittadino have had to take over his 12 years tenure to achieve his doctorate? There are multiple principals in the district that have the dedication and commitment to achieve their doctorate, and multiple administrators. Why does the superintendent feel he should not achieve this level of higher education as he was instructed to do so in the beginning of his tenure? Mr. Cittadino should set the example to inspire and motivate, to be the best you can be. We have much talent amongst our teachers and principals. It is because of them we have schools in our district recognized as schools of character. Schools with smaller districts have superintendents that have doctorates, just to name a few: East Brunswick, Monroe, Perth Amboy, New Brunswick, etc. The principals that have doctorates could step up to be superintendent without any disruption in the district. What goals has Mr. Cittadino set for the district, and have these goals been met? What was Mr. Cittadino's last evaluation? The evaluation of the superintendent is one of the most important things the Board of Ed does, and on the board to perform this activity. When was the last evaluation performed, and are these evaluations made public on your website? Mr. Cittadino has not been forthcoming. When closing the Cheesequake School, a blue ribbon school, It was under the justification had structural damages. Were the repairs done before renting Cheesequake School to a preschool? That question has never been answered. Leadership is important. Managing a school district stresses education and efficiencies, which is very vital. The state just announced that they are cutting another $700,000 from the district. School funding is down another 3%. When the cuts start to happen, my question is, how can the state think this is fair to do this to Aldbridge? First of all, when they first started, did the superintendent invite the governor to come to Aldbridge and witness what is happening in this district? We are a town of 42 square miles, and cutting after school buses is not fair to the parents with this. And this is all coming from the top. Did the superintendent go to Trenton and advocate for us? Did he ask the governor to come here? No, at that time he did not.
Please do not reply to comments.
Have we ever had an accounting of the COVID money, what was spent? And are all the students caught up to speed with lost learning? After COVID, the emphasis should have been on lost learning instead of Bill 5756 and a controversial health district. I wish Mr. Cedeno well, but I do feel it is time for change, and I feel there are a lot of principals in this district that could step up. Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Hi, my name is Ann. I live in Old Bridge. I have 3 children in Old Bridge. My experience with Superintendent Citadino is just from sitting here and watching on YouTube and getting your lovely phone calls. So it's not that extensive, but from what I've seen and heard, he's the calm in the storm. He is the voice of reason and logic when things go sideways. Stability and leadership matters. Changing superintendents during a time of academic and graduation rate progress will disrupt any improvements we've already seen. Removing an award-winning superintendent would be a loss to our schools, but even worse, hurt our children and our teachers. I'm just wondering if people know his resume, and if I say anything wrong, just tell me because I got it in the newspaper. But it said that 1997 to 2005, he was a teacher and then a disciplinarian in the Elizabeth School District. Couldn't have been easy. From then, he came straight to Old Bridge, and he's been loyal to Old Bridge ever since. He started at Jonas Salk. He was assistant principal, and he must have been very competent because 6 months later he was principal. He then became principal of Old Bridge High School. He went on to be assistant superintendent. From assistant superintendent, he accepted his current role in 2013. He has extensive experience. Anyone who says that he needs to have a doctorate is just making up an excuse. This man could probably teach the doctoral program. He has so much experience and knowledge. There is nothing in New Jersey that says a superintendent is required to have a doctorate. They need to have a master's. The superintendent is offering a 2-year deal with a lower raise each year. The money he's offering to save the school system could go to the students. If the board members, I know certain board members last time, I know Marjorie, Jennifer, I know I heard Jay, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. They said that they wanted the 2-year with the lower raise. I think the board members should have to say why they didn't want the 2-year raise and why they're stealing money from the students who are in way too large a class sizes, the students who can't do after-school programs because they don't have late buses. I think they need to explain themselves. You were voted in there, and you should explain yourselves to the people that voted for you or did not vote for you. I had something else to say. Sorry. I have a child in high school. I have younger children. I don't know one parent of a current student that does not support Superintendent Citadino. I don't know where these people coming up here are talking. They obviously don't have students in the school system. I just think each board member needs to make their pro and con list because the pros are going to far outweigh. The only sane decision is to keep Superintendent Citadino for as long as he will tolerate us. Thank you.
Can I start? There. Hi, my name is Mariah Kamal Wicks. Before all of you vote on Dave tonight, I want to address this critical decision facing our BOE. The potential of a non-renewal of our superintendent's contract or a 1 or 2 year renewal. This decision carries significant financial implications and could profoundly affect our school system and town. Our district has been losing state aid for 7 years. We're losing $700,000 this year and a possible $23 million or more next year. Add to this loss additional costs for salaries, health insurance, school security, and other expenses which continue to rise each year. This is not the time to change leadership. We need Superintendent Sinodito's valuable knowledge, expertise, and direct experience to navigate this budget crisis. Hiring a new superintendent takes 9 months to a year, and that's if everything goes as planned. It involves significant costs, as we heard before, about $13,000. If we're looking at transition costs, relocation expenses, that could exceed $50,000. Dave does not take health insurance, which we know is about $35,000 a year. A new hire is going to ask for the health insurance, and if you look up the articles, it's predicted to increase of 7 to 14% in health insurance premiums alone for the upcoming year. Even with an interim acting superintendent, we're going to get the same cost of salary, health care, knowledge, the loss of knowledge, unfamiliar with our 14 schools and staff. Based on current public stats, if you Google it and check it out, a new superintendent is going to ask for 5 to 15% more in salary that they are currently making, plus they're going to ask for additional health insurance. So if we look at it based on the math, it's $265,897 plus $37,500, which is at 7% rate, not 14%. During a dire budget aid cut period, a new superintendent will most likely ask for a higher salary, adding to already financial burden. Maintaining Dave provides financial stability and continuity for our district to focus on long-term goals, avoid turnover costs for the next 2 years while we weather these major state aid costs. A 2-year term at 2.5% equals to about $5,000 to $6,000 a year. If you do the 6% at 1 year, you're talking about $14,000 in 1 year. Anybody that comes after him is going to want that salary at the 6%. So that will equal $520,000 in 2 years. We must forget that we have no late buses. So think of that money when you come to vote. Our school system impacts the vitality of our town and home values, in case people weren't aware. Changing leadership and financial uncertainty is going to cause chaos for parents, students, residents, homeowners, taxpayers, because high schools are driven property values. They attract the home buyers and foster community engagement. Home buyers prefer areas with highly rated schools. Our school's public perception is going to influence homeowners who buy in Old Bridge. So this is going to create a cycle where the reputation of our public schools become directly tied to our home prices and home values. Don't know about most, but I've been here 45 years. I would like to keep my value. Selecting a new superintendent during this BOE climate is going to set up a failure in the long run when you look at personnel. Potential new clients or new candidates are going to see these meetings and interactions, thus leading to frequent turnovers in our superintendents, short-term focus. It's going to affect our infrastructure when it comes to our schools. It's going to result in future candidates commanding even higher salary demands to stay here. Again, we don't have late buses. We need to make sure there's money in our budget next year, because if you recall, the grant was not renewed for Play Unified. Stability and leadership is crucial for us to navigate budget constraints effectively. So renewing his contract for 2 years at 2.5% is a financial sound decision, ensuring stability, continuity, and retention of valuable district and budget aid cut knowledge. This approach is critical to managing the district's resources effectively and maintaining effective financial accountability, transparency, and leadership as our elected BOE members. If new leadership is desired at the end of his contract, then take the time of the 2 years to vet properly a new superintendent instead of removing Dave without a plan. These are not just our kids, these are all of your kids in our school district. So ensure a smooth transition, allow Dave to transfer his invaluable knowledge, navigate through the next 2 years, and during this uncertainty, maintain stable leadership for us to mitigate the impact of state cuts, prevent our town from being thrown into financial chaos. I do want to thank you as you go to vote your cast tonight. Do I have time left? Okay. 30 seconds. Just to add, last time at the meeting, I discussed the superintendents. 24 out of Middlesex, 7 do not have doctorates. 2 ahead of him that make way more money don't have a doctorate. Keep that in mind. As far as the ESSER money, I don't know about everybody else, but as a parent with 3 kids, kids went to ESSER summer school, went to pre-homework club for ESSER out of the funds, and they also did homework club after, so I know the funds were there. And what was I going to say? As far as the Cheesequake School, it was $750,000 to maintain the school for whatever was wrong with it. So instead of spending $750,000, we get $500,000 for the next 2 years, accumulating $5 million. Thank you.
I'll make sure to sign in. And bear with me for a minute. I thought that there was going to be 3 opportunities to speak, so I'm trying to merge 2 of them at the same time. Good evening, Andrew Lewis, OBEA. I'm addressing a few points in the agenda, in particular the ethics corner, the proposed tentative budget, and the superintendent's contract. I want to take a moment to remind the board the ethical responsibility that comes with holding a position of public trust. The School Ethics Act is clear. No one should use their position for personal gain. Yet, when board members use this platform to discuss their own family members as a means to evaluate the district, they're crossing that ethical line. Personal stories may feel compelling, but they do not belong in an objective evaluation of our schools, our staff, or our district leadership. For years, we've watched as one board member has mastered the art of self-serving politics, while serving as the undisputed pioneer of nepotism in this district. We cannot allow this blatant disregard for our district to continue unchecked. We need a board that values transparency, equity, and the future of our students, not personal gain. It's time to call out the corruption for what it is and demand that the board puts education first, not political favors. Another concern I must raise tonight is the repeated effort to paint our schools in a negative light, right here in these meetings, as a recruitment tool for private alternatives. When individuals stand before the board and declare how bad our schools are and that we're indoctrinating our students, we must recognize the true intent behind these words. This is not constructive criticism meant to improve our district. It's an advertising campaign designed to pull students and their funding away from our public schools. Let's be clear. Every time they speak at a meeting and use it to recruit students, it impacts our budget. Fewer students means fewer resources, fewer programs, and fewer opportunities for the children who remain. We cannot allow our district to be smeared and used as a marketing tool for schools that don't answer to this board or this community. Public education is a shared investment, one that requires us to stand up for the integrity of our schools. And as we enter budget season, a time that will test our resources and our resolve. We must stand together, not divided. We cannot afford to weaken our district from within when we know there are challenges ahead. As of 3:30 today, the budget on the agenda was blank. No numbers, no details, no clear plan. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone on this stage that our budget situation is dire. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a reflection of our values, our priorities, and our commitment to providing a high-quality education. Yet we're being asked to trust a process that kind of keeps us in the dark. We need answers. We need to see where the money's going, what cuts are being considered, and how decisions are being made. Educators and families should not be left guessing about the future of our schools. Transparency is not a privilege, it's a necessity. We demand clarity, we demand honesty, we demand a budget that truly supports our students and the educators who serve them. Our focus must be on weathering this storm as a united front, protecting our students, our staff, and the quality of education our community deserves. I also want to address the superintendent's contract. I'm not going to speak for or against Dave. This is about common sense. Right now, our district is facing a $17 million, almost $18 million deficit, a financial hole that will have serious consequences on our students, our staff, and the quality of education in our schools. In times like these, we have to make responsible, strategic decisions that put the district in the best possible position to move forward. There's a motion on the agenda for a one-year extension, a decision that gives the board time to evaluate, time to plan, and time to act with the full financial reality in mind. A one-year extension is not a long-term commitment, but a practical one. It allows stability while we focus on the bigger crisis ahead. For months, this board has played games, dragging out the contract negotiations, wasting time, and squandering taxpayer money, all while holding our district hostage. For what? We have a qualified, experienced superintendent who has served this community with dedication. This isn't leadership, it's dysfunction. You've made it clear that experience and commitment don't matter. And on top of that, whoever steps into the role will inherit a budget that's a mess, with no real plan from you to fix it. So I ask this board, who would want to step into a $17 million deficit? Who is eager to lead in a situation where it's hard choices will have to be made? Stability is the short term, not just reasonable, it's necessary. This board owes our educators, our students, and our community better than this. The people who trusted you to lead deserve better than this. Let's set aside personal opinions and focus on what's best in the best interest of the district. Approve the motion for 1 year, and let's tackle the real issue, the financial crisis that threatens our schools and our students. Do your jobs, put politics and pettiness aside, and start putting our schools first.
Last call, anyone speak? There you go. Sorry for trying to have everyone line up so it was more continuous.
I'll sign in when I'm done. I'm a rule follower. Kelly Ellis Foster, an Old Bridge resident and taxpayer. I had a bunch of things I was going to talk about here today, mostly the accomplishments that have been made in the district over the last couple years that Mr. Cittadino and the administration have been here. But also many people who either wrote in or spoke about that. I can't let it go about an accusation that nothing was done when there were budget cuts coming down. And there's nothing further from the truth. And these are the things that take us and divide us when we should be working together. There were multiple times, there were meetings with the state legislators, with the governor, with the commissioners, at committee meetings. I called in to talk to the governor, and it got us in with the commissioner. We've met with the commissioner's tax staff. So to indicate that for the last 7 years, this administration, the board, the people in town have done nothing is a disgrace. So it leads me to say, what the hell happened to us as a community? We used to work together. We would disagree, but we would work together. You could treat people with respect, even if you had differences of opinion. And this is where we are now. We're fighting over, are we going to take a 1 or 2 year for Mr. Cittadino? I can go through things he's done. You've heard it. The things you don't see that he has done behind the scenes, helping families, supporting them in times of crisis, in times of children struggling. But you may not see that because he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't stand up there and say, look at me. He does the work that needs to be done to keep this district going. I look around this room, and all I see are people who care about our children, who care about making sure every child, when they leave in the morning, gets here safely, has a day that's fulfilling, that they learn, that they're engaged with their peers, that they feel welcome, that they feel included. We're a diverse group, not afraid to say the words that people are scared of, because that's who we are as a district. We're diverse, we're beautiful, we're different, and we should accept everybody. And that is what this district continually focuses on and works on. So we can get back to being a community that works together to say we have faced another challenge with our finances. We can sit here and point fingers at each other and say, it's your fault, I didn't do anything, you're the one who did it. We should be working together on fixing it. Why don't we do that? Why do we have to say, I don't like what you think about how somebody lives, so therefore you're a horrible person? This is not what we teach our children, so why would we get up here and speak like that? The district just went through the recertification for the character.org. It's something we all should embrace and values we should all live by. It's not that hard. We teach this to our children. We expect it of our children. We should expect the same for our leadership. And everything I know about Mr. Cittadino, he has that character. He will help any student who needs help. He will help any family that needs help. He has a plan B and a C for every issue that's coming up. So I know my words may not impact some people on this board, but I think it's really important to remember where we have come from. And one other thing I'll call out that, again, maybe some people don't realize, but back in 2019 when we were in the financial crisis, Mr. Cittadino had a contractual increase in his contract. He donated that money back to the district to student support services. Who here would have done that? Who here, when they've got, a relatively large family and kids going to college, they give their money back because the school and the district was in crisis. So it's really a matter of what are our values and who do we want to be as a district. You all can determine that, and your actions will make it clear where you stand. Thank you.
Madam President, I love saying that. I don't know if you know why I started coming here.
Just state your name, please, for the record.
Teresa Burns. Okay. Kindergarten, my son was denied access to an event. And I swore then I would never let another kid ever have that. I don't care about their color, their class, ability, whatever. I started coming here, and you were invited to a SEPTA meeting. Do you remember that meeting? And your opening line was, I heard you wanted to talk to me. And everyone spoke to you. And I believe that that was the moment that you had a learned behavior that you then unlearned and then relearned from the parents that you were exposed to. After that, you had started, I don't know if you had done this previously, but you were going to MD classes and really speaking to parents, not just speaking to them, but listening to them and implementing what they were saying. And to hear inclusion, diversity, and equity was, in my opinion, not there. Is it perfect now? No. But have we come a long way? Yes. And I want to know, how is the board going to evaluate, if they choose a new superintendent, their ability to have a learned behavior, unlearn it, and then relearn it? Thank you.
Darren Asatuli, Oak Ridge resident. I'm just going to ask everybody a quick question, all right? We lost a lot of money, but I actually called Senator Gopal and asked him that question. And you know what he said to me about the school funding? And this is the senator, mind you, who makes the school funding allegedly. Ready? So we're here fighting budget cuts. I can imagine what it's like for all of you to have to make that decision. I know it's very difficult. I've been coming to these meetings for 3 to 4 years, and I can see how challenging it is for a lot of people here, even for myself. But when I called him, you know what he said to me? I said, I need to speak to you about something. I told him I was the councilman of Oak Ridge, New Jersey. The chief of staff called me back, and I asked him about the funding. Ready? He said, your home prices went up 40%. You can afford to pay for it. So then I turned around and I said, really? How many people do you know that their paycheck went up 40%? Anyone? Nobody. You know why? The state funding is fuzzy. No one even knows exactly how it's done. All the S2 districts allegedly got clipped for their money. Why? How come nobody in Trenton can answer that question? Has anybody got that answer on the board yet? Has anybody been there every week? What we need to do as parents, board members, and people in this town, every week, we need to let the government know we're getting destroyed. There's other towns that are getting 40,000 to 1 per student. I think we're getting, what, 17,000 to 1, give or take? How do we operate? How do we live? We raise taxes to 10%. When will it stop? Let me know, because it's not sustainable. I'm not looking to fight anybody here. I've been around a long time fighting. But I see exactly what it is. I've done a lot of research. And all you parents and everybody, the citizens of Oak Ridge, do some research, call the office, and see if you can get an explanation of the funding. That's where we need to fight. The fight is in Trenton, 100%. And I compel anybody to find out what it is, because there's no reason why Oak Ridge should be short 12 million, 700,000, 5 million. How do we live? Tell me. The government, their budget was 36 billion, I think, in 2000, I think it was 18 possibly. It's up to 60 billion now. You can't help out a school district? SEPTA, a great program in Oak Ridge, has to fundraise for money because we can't get money to take care of our special needs? Is this cool? It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, the lady was right. We've been doing a lot of fighting against each other. That's including myself. But I know where the fight is now. And that's where we should put our effort, all of us. We should get other towns, other superintendents, other board members, other parents to get together and not one time go to Trenton. We need to go to Trenton, send emails, have real conversations, because guess what? We're just going to lose more. And it's never going to end unless we stop and we stopped them in Trenton. So please, if you can, just make some phone calls and do some research. See if you can find the funding, because it's very fuzzy. But I do appreciate everybody here today, and I do appreciate the job that you all do. I didn't see it until I got on council, and I know it's very difficult. So God bless you all. I mean that sincerely. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to close the mic. A few things I'd like to respond, and then the board can respond as well. The comment was made asking when Mr. Cittadino sets goals, the board sets the goals, and the board did evaluate Mr. Cittadino late in the fall. The superintendent did go to Trenton multiple times, and the COVID grant money has been shared and allocated to the board and to the public. I was on quite a few of the character.org state level phone calls and interviews. It was the same message over and over from community members, from students, from staff, from parents. It's not just a pitch phrase, it's the culture here in Old Bridge, you know, those pillars of character. And Mr. Asatuli, if you want to, I've tried to work together and see if the town council and the school board can get together, and whether it's fight Trenton, do something. We serve the same people. If the council and the school board want to come together, I'm all for it. Let's fight the same fight. We serve the same community. So if that invitation's open, I'd like to accept it and invite any of my fellow board members to join the conversation with me. Mr. Cittadino is talking to the Assembly on April 25th. I'm talking to the Senate on the 26th. Anyone is welcome to meet us down there and show the support as we speak, asking for this fuzzy formula and asking for the state aid. So we are going to Trenton. I guess that's next week already. Come join us. Come stand next to us as we have the conversation. So to answer those questions. All right. Anyone else on the board would like to address any of the comments made?
I have a comment. Obviously, we're in all agreement that Trenton is a problem and that there's a convoluted formula about state funding. I know the podium was set to have comments about Dave's contract, but since we're all in agreement that the state funding is off and we're losing money, Mr. Cittadino and the administration team is using the funds that they have available. The guy doesn't make the rules. The guy doesn't. He didn't personally do any state funding cuts. The administration is using the funds that they have at hand. So when you hear about what is he not doing, what is he not getting at, he's not going down to Trenton. He's not inviting people. You know, when I have my house budget, I spend what I have. I don't spend what I don't have. So I think the administration's done a great job in the budget system. Last year I sat in with the budget. We were 12 million short. Yes, we lost late school buses, but we kept the district intact. And early on, we were in part of the 25-26 year, and again, they're coming up with creative ideas to try to keep the district intact. So the administration and Dave leading it does what he can to keep the district intact. He cannot control what Trenton doesn't give us. So thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Can
Go
I
for
address
it.
a few things? Sure. Let's talk about the doctorate. Let's start there. I want to be clear. I was never instructed to get a doctorate. If I was instructed or directed to do something, it'd be in my contract. That's not language in my contract. Any requirements of being a superintendent here in Old Bridge are contractual. It's not there. What is in my contract, which I negotiated, was an incentive. And I am the only employee in the district who would get 100% reimbursement for getting it. No one else would get that. So when I did do my doctoral work, and I did all of my coursework with a 4.0, and there was a tragic situation with my committee chair, it was a setback. Things happened personally in my life, things happened professionally here, and I didn't go to it. That's me, that's my decision. But all the coursework was done, and if I couldn't commit myself to it because of what was going on then and what's going on now, I didn't want to commit to the impact it would have on the district. Could be $80,000 that you'd all have to pay, and I want to make sure I'm committed to it. I've thought about going and I've talked to Mr. Parton about this. I've thought about going to law school. You know, there's nothing in even my contract that says a doctoral degree. A doctoral degree is a Juris Doctorate. I could start going to law school right now, and you'd have to pay for it. But I want to make sure I'm ready for that. Maybe I'll join my son in law school. He's getting ready to go. Maybe we'll go together when I retire. But I want to make sure it's the right time and it's the right place. Board evaluations. I don't know, like, if you're not paying attention or just, it's been discussed ad nauseum. I didn't receive board evaluations for 3 years. I got my first board evaluation this year. I hold that as a reason as to, you know, I'd like to have them, because if you're not going to have me, it's nice to have evaluations when you go on an interview, because that's what they ask for. They want the last 3 years of evaluations. Do I want to make the district look bad and say, well, they didn't evaluate me? Because it makes me look bad. So, no, I got one this year. I'm happy to get it. I'm hoping for some more glorious ones. I guess the information about closing Cheesequake, it's just misinformation. Cheesequake was evaluated not only by the administration, it was evaluated by an independent resource that came in and did an evaluation of all of our schools. Based upon that information, the decision was made. And I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't make the decisions for this Board of Education. I don't make this decision. I am one person. They ask me, what could we do? Just like the budget every year. My team comes together with varying scenarios. We call it almost like a restaurant buffet. We've got column A, column B, column C. You want a little column A, you can do that, a little column B. And that's the way the decision was made, based on information. We used our architect's information. We used information from someone who looked at our enrollments, future enrollments, and that's the way the decision was made. And I think I was very fortunate. I called a district that was about to close with the Newark Archdiocese on a rental of another property, and I talked them out of that property to rent our property to get us $5 million in revenue on a property that's only worth $3 million. And now we still own the property at the end of the contract. So I think that's someone should be rewarded. You know, I'm the only superintendent that I've known in the history of this district that's brought in $15 million in revenue. That's more than my administrative team will make while here serving in this district. Trenton. I mean, if you don't know how many times I've gone to Trenton, you're not paying attention. It's well advertised. It's advertised everywhere. I don't post about, like you said, how I help families or anything. I post when I go to Trenton. It's all over the place. I think to this point I've been to Trenton at least 5 times. I went to Kingsway before they even enacted S2 to fight before they even started thinking about doing S2. I went there with Senator Thompson. I asked him to be my liaison to get me in the meeting that you couldn't even get into. And we went together, drove down together all to Kingsway before they enacted S2. Last year, I formed a coalition with superintendents that were impacted by this and helped superintendents work with legislature to write a legislation that helped us out of this problem last year. That was all discussed by all the board members at a meeting in Trenton this year at the Department of Education. They talked about how we worked together, how we got that done. To Mr. Astley's point, I agree with 100%. I've been saying it. Sometimes people don't listen, but I've been saying it. I don't care if your house values went up 400,000%. 400%. We don't have access to it. We capped at 2%. We give this, as superintendents, we give this joke. If a mega millionaire, so one of those people who buys the tickets, won a ticket, who lived in Old Bridge, God bless that person. But it would destroy our schools, because our school funding formula is based upon 2 major things: home property values and income. When one person's income goes up by that much, they'll assume that it's not on the aggregate, that everyone's income, that's just based on the average, and it will impact us. But we only can get 2%. Even if 30 people in this district won the mega million, we can only get 2% of their mega million. 2%, not 2% of the mega million, 2% of what last year was. So 2% on top of what last year. Doesn't matter how much money you bring in, doesn't matter how much, it's a broken formula. And I can tell you that the formula is fuzzy. The formula is corrupt. I've said that before too, because I know districts that were S2 districts, now they're not S2 districts because of connections that they have in legislation. It's not the first time I'm saying it. I said it loud and clear last week. Until there's accountability and transparency in that funding formula, we will continue to be the whipping post. And it is obvious to me when you look at the first S2 districts, ourselves, Toms River, Jackson, we all have something in common. I'm not going to say what that in common is, but we all have something very much in common, and we don't get that. It's like, have I asked the governor to come here? Yes, I have. I don't get a response for that because I'm from Old Bridge. Have we talked on this committee? Yes, we've talked. We've had various people reach out, and no. So have I had meetings with Senator Gopal? I had 3 meetings with Senator Gopal last year alone. Got the same answer you have received. So all of that to address that. The COVID money, I mean, it's a public document where the COVID money, the ESSER funds go. It's on the website. Last year's is there. The year before's that's there. It's in the library. If you want to find it, all you have to do is open a book, open a computer. It's there. So, thank you.
I would like to say a few things. So, the board members up here, we don't have to, right? Not required to respond in any way, but I do think it's important. I try to be as transparent as I can. So I would like to respond to a few of the things. I often take notes. I know some people are like, what are you writing up there? And I'm vigorously jotting down some notes because I take the time to listen and reflect. And forgive me if I'm not directing at exactly the right person who may have said what I would like to respond to. So I believe, Mr. Lewis, you brought up, personal issues. I'm going to say that I have zero personal issues with Mr. Cittadino. Never had one. My children, I've never had an issue with my children in the school system. I think that I hope that people see it, have done a good job of remaining objective and keeping the emotion out of my decisions, and basing it simply on my observations and my experience with people. So I just wanted to say that. A lot of people talk about, I think, Ms. Ellis Foster, you talked about division. And, perception is reality, right? And how we view things is really what we believe. And I don't really see it as division. We have a lot of board members who are asking a lot of questions. And I know that in the past, maybe that wasn't really the case. We hold each other accountable. We hold admin accountable. And I don't see it as division. Division isn't inherently bad. It's actually essential. It's essential for change, and it's essential make the world go around. I mean, it's literally what we teach our children in the classrooms, that, diversity and differing opinions is essential. So it's not any different up here. And then I just want to go back to what Mr. Asatuli said. And even Mr. Cittadino just said, we can all agree. We can all agree on what he just said. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everybody in this room or listening agrees that we should all be working together. But a lot of you in this room couldn't even bring yourself to clap after he spoke. So I'd like for you to ask yourself why that is. And again, it brings me back to that educator experience and being in a classroom and how we should be treating each other the way that we teach our children to treat each other in the classroom. And it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree wholeheartedly on certain topics, but it's also okay to agree on different ones. So if we can't show that we support each other when we do agree, even if we've disagreed terribly in the past, what kind of example are we setting? So I just want you to think about that.
Anyone else?
I have something as I'm thinking. And it's probably a sore subject, but I'll bring it up, and I don't know if this is the place to do it. Mr. Lewis talked about board members that are here that are bringing up their family members in reference to Mr. Cittadino and his contract. And it's only, he brought it to our attention. We didn't dig in and find personal attachments to board members' families and how they were treated by Mr. Cittadino. I know Mr. Dunn has a conflict, so he can't vote because he's got a family member that works here. and Mr. Parton, maybe you can answer this, but wouldn't that person have a conflict as well, or is conflicted if he's using his personal family agenda that he brings up constantly in reference to Mr. Cittadino's contract?
Wait, just interrupt you. Matt never mentioned he never mentioned his granddaughter. Oh, okay. Or anybody.
Okay. Well, he has
He just
an
speaks in
executive
general,
said, he talks, no,
and
he's mentioned her in the past.
No, he has not.
Yes, he has. I can bring it up, I have instances when he has.
All right, let me answer this question. So the conflicts are pretty well defined under the School Ethics Act. Mr. Dunn, and actually I was going to clarify this a couple pages down the agenda, but Mr. Dunn can't participate at all. He cannot comment. He cannot engage in the debate. If we go into executive session, we go without Mr. Dunn. So he is strictly out. He has a spouse who is an employee of this school district. The other situation was until recently anonymous, is not as clear. There are connections between every board member in this school district. They have varying degrees of personal feelings. If you don't feel personally about the school district, get off the board. But you can't use that directly. I have spoken to board members since last week about that. There is always the claim, there is always the worry that there are personal feelings, or that there are personal feelings that go over the acceptable line. We are not at that stage right now, other than the one clear conflict at this time. You have 8 board members who can participate in this question and in this answer, 1 who cannot. So that's where we stand legally at this point.
Anything else?
Yes, I just want to respond to that briefly too. I speak for myself. While I keep my emotions to the best of my ability out of my decisions, there are a lot of people who have gotten up over the last few months and spoke in favor of Mr. Cittadino and used very emotional stories to get their points across. Some of them that brought me to tears. Clearly some deep connections that you've made with people. But then the second that possibly one of us do it, then it's frowned upon, and it's a double standard. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, we'll leave that one. All right, let's move on. On to curriculum, items 1 through, hold on, there's a few pages of this one. Go ahead.
So, not to interrupt you all, but as we get into the agenda, it's going to become increasingly challenging to not become involved. We ask you to try really hard because we're going to get to some extraordinarily important agenda items. So please bear with us and let the board members try to do their jobs to the best of their ability.
Giordano, motion.
So this is curriculum items 1 through 16. Mr. Giordano, thank you.
Dunmore second, Madam President.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Separating 5 through 15 for voting.
And I would like to separate number 1 for voting.
Curriculum. Okay.
Can I, so Sal was 5 through 15 for voting.
Yep. And Christina was 1 for voting.
Okay.
Can I ask why the separation, just so I know what?
So, well, that's what I was gonna say, like, let's have discussion. We can discuss everything 1 through 16, and then we'll go into the voting part. So, go ahead, Elena.
Can I
Yes.
discuss? Go ahead. So on 5 through 15, I know we've had some conversations in finance and looking at the budgetary items. Would it behoove, because you don't have the ability to do it, but I have the ability to do it, would it behoove the board if just until we figure this out, is it the will of the board to administratively move those so we don't have to see where we're going there? So on action, just can I do a straw poll?
Yeah, I mean, you can do this on either side of the equation. You can administratively remove it as superintendent, or board members can make a motion to table it.
Right.
It has the same effect.
Right.
But you can do it. If
All right, so
everyone agrees,
just
you can
based
do
upon
it.
that, I'm going to administratively remove 5 through 15. Temporarily.
Okay.
From that tonight's
Can
agenda.
I just, can I just ask Mr. Wydell, I know we talked privately, we talked in finance, the whole 5 through 15, like, if you could address the public. I know we talked about, if we don't pay for it now, we got to pay for it next year, with running the risk of paying more for it next year. How it fits into this year's budget, as opposed to pulling money out of next year's budget.
Right. So based on the request to advance the timeline, typically curriculum writing is done over the summer. It's paid for in that school year. So if it's done over the summer, July, it gets paid through the summer months. For this, because we advanced the timeline up, and it says specifically in the motions, in the resolutions, that it would be completed by May 1 of 2025. So we had already paid for our curriculum writing that was done this year, earlier this summer. Being that this would be done, pushed up the timeline, being that this would be done for May 25, we would essentially be approving that to be paid in 24-25 school year. So essentially what that means is, and again, it'd be a conversation with the OBEA, but as these teachers were to be doing this work and completing it by May 1, they would submit their timesheets because they're doing work within this school year period. So if you put all these together, I believe it's the $99,000. We would be paying that in 24-25's budget, meaning that when those paychecks are made, or when those stipends are paid out of that account line, there would be short that money. So if we were to continue with this, we would have to find money within the current 24-25 expenditure lines and appropriate that sum of money to that line through a board transfer, which is a typical motion that we have just about every month. There's board transfers that are made. So if this were to be approved, it would be being paid in the 24-25 budget, which there is money available. It would result in a transfer. But again, pushing it down the road does inflate costs at a later date. But I think there's just a question as to if they're required or not. I know that was questioned, but if this were approved, it would be paid in the current 24-25 school year. So that account would be essentially 2 years in one, and we'd have to transfer money into there, but it would be, we would be able to do it within the 24-25 budget.
Even though they're removed, can we still discuss it? Or
Yeah.
now that it's removed, it's removed?
No, it's still under curriculum, so you can just still discuss it.
So I'm going to kind of go off of what Jay said. Like, so this year there's not money, but there's a little bit more wiggle room than potentially next year's budget at this moment with no additional funds coming in.
So like I said, the biggest thing with our budget this year was our reserves that we had in prior years to fund our budget have been depleted, and we haven't been able to replenish them. So in 24-25, at this juncture in time, the least amount that you spend, if we stopped all spending right now, that helps us when we get our audit done, and it helps a subsequent year budget, because you could take any unexpended lines and put them into your surplus, you build your reserves up. So if it's something that this board feels is important to do, and it can just get ahead and be on that 5-year cycle, we can do it in 24-25s. I will have to transfer money appropriately, and it can be done. However, if there's a concern of it's not necessary, or we want to save that money to build up our reserves and to use potentially for a subsequent year budget, then yes, we can do that. But again, speaking to those reserves, we've kind of learned that's a one-time fix. When you keep having these expenditures that are growing exponentially, and you can only go up 2%, and you're just relying on reserves, which I say is your savings account, you will never be able to catch up. So it can help you by not doing it in regards to when we get audited, and it helps your surplus. But if we do find the need and want to do this to keep our curriculum freshened, the money is available in the 24-25. I would just need to transfer appropriately.
If we can add a comment. I think in our discussion, Dr. Tui pointed out that if not this year, next year we need to do it. And also I'm not sure if this will make us go out of compliance with NJSQA. So I'd like to hear about that as well. If not this year, anyway, next year we have to do it. The same money has to be spent again, next year as well. But at the same time, will we go out of compliance for this year from NJSQA?
So in the past 2 years, past 4 years, we've rewritten both math and ELA twice. In part because the standards changed in 2020 and then again in 2023 for math and ELA. All of the standards from the state for all of these subjects are still from 2020. There has been no updates. So because there has been no updates, it is not a mandated component to redo all of these curriculum. However, if you go back 5 years when a lot of these curriculum guides were written, it was a much different time, much different technology, and much different era. So yes, would it help to refreshen our guides? Probably. However, with the non-necessity, because the state has not provided us with updated curriculum standards, at this time, out of the 99 guides that are on here, there's really only one, which is a new course, that would be necessitated for next year, and that's, I think, number 15, which is the new math course, which, again, we can discuss whether it's ready or not as we transition into the next part of the conversation.
Dr. Tui, you had mentioned one time that some of the courses are on different 5-year cycles to be reviewed. Which of these courses would come up next year for the mandated 5-year?
All of them. So what the standards were approved in 2020. You get 1 year to implement. So we adopted because of our old model of adopting curriculum over the course of the summer. It was all adopted in the summer of 2021. So we are effectively re-upping the 2020 standards 1 year early, where you can get to 2026 and probably be comfortable enough to see if the state ends up changing the standards that they would be adjusting. So on a 5-year cycle, this would be the 5 years, because the curriculum guides usually are updated by then. The state has not provided any updated curriculum guides for world language, business, a lot of the CTE courses. They remain the same. They are still the same on the state website. Again, using math and English as an example, those have been updated now twice since I've been in this position, and we've had to revise or rewrite twice for those two subjects.
Another question. So if the state does revise some of these standards, right, and then we have to go ahead and revise a curriculum next year, do we run the risk of doing it this year and then needing to do it next year, being required to do it again next year because they've updated the standards? I'd hate to see us have to do that twice, 2 years in a row.
Yes, that's what happened with the English and the math. They changed those in 2020, and then they changed them again in 2023, although they were minor changes. But we did have to revise last summer, and those were the guides that were approved upon last summer over the course of, I think it was August, September maybe.
And you said we get up to 5 years to implement it, or?
We have 1 year from when the new standards are adopted by the state.
Okay, so we are late for some of them then. We didn't promptly update it earlier, looks like.
No, we're fine for all of them. It's just we would have a 5-year window that we would have to relook and revise our curriculum guides, even if the state doesn't update the standards. So waiting 1 year wouldn't necessarily be an earth-shattering decision.
Okay. Any other discussion on item 2 through 4 and 16? Okay. Mr. Rydell, can we have a roll call on items 2, 3, 4, and 16, please?
All right, 2, 3, 4, and 16, correct?
Yes.
And we had a motion by Giordano and a second by Dunn, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. Giordano?
Yes.
Jodry?
Yes.
Mazzone?
Yes.
Slade?
Yes.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Venkatason?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Francisco?
Yes.
Dantuno?
Yes.
All right, resolutions 2, 3, 4, and 16 for curriculum professional development passes.
Okay. Any further discussion on item number 1 for the field trips? Okay, roll call on item number 1.
All right. Giordano?
Yes.
Jodry?
Yes.
Mazzone?
No.
Slade?
Yes.
Solikowski?
No.
Venkatason?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Francisco?
Yes.
Dantuno?
Yes.
Resolution 1 for curriculum and professional development passes.
Okay. All right, on to finance. item 1.
Well,
through-
Jen,
Go ahead.
we're removing.
Dave-
Do
Dave
we have to
removed
make
it.
a motion?
They administratively removed it.
And remove indefinite, or just,
Might bring it back next month, we'll see what their financial
Okay,
reports
okay.
say. We just want to get a better picture of something that's non-mandatory right now.
Okay.
As you talked with Mr. Venkatesan. we're look-
Microphone.
We were looking at, part of our conversations with Mr. Venkatesan is looking at the must-haves versus this is not a must-have right at this moment.
So, finance item 1 through 16. Can I have a motion, please?
Ms. Owen, motion.
Second?
Jody will second.
Any discussion?
So 1 through 16 of finance, right? That includes the 15 budget.
Yep.
So Mr. Vidal, I think here the proposal is, like we have discussed in the executive sessions on the finance committee, we are looking to seek help from the New Jersey Department of Education as a loan or any other alternate funding source for the deficit of $17 million, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just separating 11 for voting.
Okay, 11 is separated by Giordano for voting.
Okay.
Well, I just also want to add a comment here. We have been also working on how to solve this, although we're going to scream, shout like all we discussed so far with Trenton. But we're also trying to look at how we can get better at efficiency or optimize our resourcing and make some improvements here. So which will be ongoing. While what we understand is this is something that will be submitted to the county. Irrespective of we say no or a yes here, it does not matter. This is not a final budget. But it is our process here to move this forward to the next stage, which is like in April, I think we have to send it to the county, Middlesex County, and then wait for about in a month, I think so, while we also do help scream, shout to Trenton. And we work on the efficiencies. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
So, just for clarity, tomorrow is the official day the budget is due to the county. So once it is submitted tomorrow, they have until, I believe it's April 21st to approve that. Now, within that month-long process, they review, they pose questions, they ask to meet. Based on, this budget, we anticipate having multiple follow-up conversations with them to go through that process. We have meetings set up with the board as well to go through that process. So this is essentially the first step in just trying to get a budget submitted to the county that is balanced. And then there is work to do, and we have to have follow-ups. But this is, again, like you said, that first step.
Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call on items 1 through 16 with the exception of 11, please.
Okay, Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solakowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 10 and 12 through 16 passes.
Okay. Any more discussion on item number 11?
Yes, what are we paving? I'm sorry. Mr. Giordano.
There is a list that we're putting together with Mr. Tricomi. It's usually areas within the school district or schools that, such as their blacktop. This past year we did memorials. There's other areas such as masonry or blacktop that has potholes or anything like that. So it's a liability to insurance, but also we're looking to improve those areas where some areas within the schools, the kids are playing on that surface every day, and when you have there's some heads shaking there, whether there's puddling or pooling, it helps. In some of our schools they don't have that big grassy area. They're playing on the asphalt. So we're trying to clean up as most of those areas as possible. I know it's something that principals across a lot of elementary schools have asked for. When it comes down to it, the only funds we have available for that are within our capital reserve. funding, which I'm assuming is why Mr. Giordano had separated this out. But again, it's something that the principals have asked for. We're trying to make it as clean and useful as for our children to play. What's difficult is, you know, you're using funding and asphalt can only have a useful life of so long. So, you know, you do have to routinely kind of manicure these over time. They wear out. But when it does come out, you know, I think Memorial can speak to it. It comes out very nice, and the kids are very happy. So we're just trying to find some other areas to improve on. We'll get a full list together for the board that we've been working on. And obviously, what's difficult about it is we earmark a set of funds that, you know, are budgeted right now, and then the price of fuel goes up in summer, and asphalt prices go up, and what you thought you could do for that amount is a little bit less. But for right now, we have, you know, an idea of what we want to accomplish with it, and that's what we're looking forward to put forth, at least for right now. There were some other items that were going to be on this, but I took them off because of, one, the amount of money that would have been going to our capital reserves that is important to keep, and two, they have to be on our long-range facilities plan, and some of the items that we are looking to do have not been fully added yet. So all these items, doing asphalt and masonry, are on our long-range facilities plan and are able to be used, our capital reserve funding to make those improvements. So,
Yeah, I just had concerns because, like, for example, the town and like a lot of places you go, there'll be a pothole, and instead of fixing just a pothole, they'll redo everything for no reason. And that same company, Whit Lombardi, when they sent us the original blueprints for what they wanted to do and their rationale behind it, they showed little nicks in the track, little nicks in the field, turf field, and we ended up redoing the whole thing. So I like to see it. It's highlighted, so it's new on the agenda, so that's just my concern.
understood. And again, it's an item that has to get included on the budget submission. It doesn't have to be the final thing that's approved with the budget, but that was what we have tentatively in our budget. That's what we are appropriating with those funds. And again, when you have one pothole and one student or one teacher does trip, a lot of times that means workers' comp payments or you know, lawsuits to the district that Mr. Parton sometimes works so duly on as well. So again, we're trying to cover our basis on that, but again, the biggest thing is, you know, giving the kids a space that they can play and have fun, and that is safe. So,
Mr. Wydell, just convince the board and the public, or advise that this money is not coming out of the general fund. This is not going to be, you know, taken away from the children. It's coming from our capital funds, which are utilized for improvements such as this. So this money cannot be commingled. So the money is sitting there and necessary to be spent, and cannot be utilized for educational or general fund purposes. Is that correct?
that is correct. This is, as Ms. D'Antuno has eloquently spoken in the past, this is a kind of a separate bank account. We have our capital reserve funding. That funding can only be directed toward capital projects. In order to have a capital project, it must be what's on your LRFP, your long-range facilities plan. So I confirm with our architect that all asphalt, paving, and masonry work is included for every school on the funding plan, and that is why we're putting forth that item for the agenda, or for the budget rather.
Any other discussion on item number 11?
Just one clarification there, right? Maybe it does not come from the tax levy. If that's the difference we are trying to make, I agree. But still, it is a resource that is accessible for the community, for the community's improvement, right? It is just not that coming from the tax levy. If I'm correct, Mr. Dunn, that's what you want to
the
make.
general community can use the property?
When I say community, for the schools, I mean, for the students, or for improving, you know, plans like this, it's still a resource that is accessible to make a betterment of the community needs. And it's a
Yes.
community against school district.
Correct. Like the capital reserve can only be used to improve the community and the capital, like, buildings, so yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
But it has to be part of, to be clear, it has to be part of the capital improvement plan for the district. So can it go to salaries? No.
No, yeah.
Can it go to school supplies? No. It has to be part of something that's part of your capital improvement plan for the district, which is going to fall under property and improvements of property.
Perfect, thank you.
It's just a large amount. I want to see it before I approve it.
Understood.
That's it. Okay.
Okay. Any other comments on item number 11 before we do roll call?
I'm sorry, one more thing, Madam President. I'm sure that once we have a Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, that will be vetted through the committee so that the committee can make its recommendation to the full board, correct?
Yep, we will do that as well.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Waddell.
And Mr. Giordano, if you remember correctly, just, like we did last time with the track, where we may not have all, the board may not have all agreed, but I made time to schedule a date for you to walk around the facility and have the person show you what they thought the concerns were there. We could do the same thing with the playgrounds and the potholes and whatever as well.
Yes. No, but like I said, they'll do what they have to do, but then I'm afraid they'll try to convince us to do more than what's necessary.
There's always an upsell in life.
We have that jurisdiction to say yes or no.
Okay.
I think we're definitely at the point in our budget where we're trying to get as many projects done with, the costs, but it's good to have the concern. All right, any other comments on item number 11?
One comment.
Go
I
for
think
it.
for the people that will watch or are watching, when Mr. Waddell explained what the improvements were going to be, half of that, more than half, about 3/4 of the heads in the audience were shaking yes and saying that they were really necessary improvements.
Thank you for sharing. Any other comments on item number 11? Roll call on item number 11, please.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Venkatason.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
No.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolution 11 for finance passes.
Okay. Thank you very much. On to non-certificated, we don't have anything for athletics, so non-certificated personnel office, item number 1. Can I have a motion, please?
Giordano,
motion.
second.
Giordano, okay. Any conversation, discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Venkatason.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for non-certificated personnel office passes.
Non-certificated personnel operational, item number 1. Can I have a motion, please?
Jodry will move it.
Francisco will second.
Thank you. Any discussion, conversation? Roll call, please.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Venkatason.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for non-certificated personnel operational passes.
Okay, non-certificated personnel other, items 1 through 3. Can I have a motion, please?
His own motion.
Francisco will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Venkatason.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolution 1, 2, and 3 for non-certificated personnel other passes.
Certificated personnel, item 1 through 10. Can I have a motion, please?
His own motion.
Can I have a second?
Jodry will second.
Okay, any discussion?
Can we
Yep, separate
separate number 1?
Okay. For voting and discussion, or?
Yes for voting, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, let's start on discussion, any discussion on all of items 1 through 10? Well, they said they were only separating it for voting, so I was going to do all discussion? Or? Okay, so we'll do discussion, I apologize, discussion for items 2 through 10. Any discussion? Roll call, please, on items 2 through 10.
Items 2 through 10. Dunn.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski. Venkatason.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolutions 2 through 10 for certificate personnel passes.
Okay, item number
So just for clarity, I wasn't under the impression that there was, you're asking for a discussion amongst the board, but that's news to me.
Well, there had to be consensus for us to put it on the agenda.
No, and we did that. So what were you asking amongst the board? You said you wanted us to discuss something.
No, like, because the public came and basically trying to convince us one way or the other. So if any board member is changing their mind, I would like to hear their opinion and then go back and forth on that. And if there isn't the 5 votes, then we should go into executive session to discuss legal ramifications and a way to plan for that.
Any other conversation, discussion? Okay, roll call, please, on item number 1.
Okay. Item number 1. Dunn.
He can't vote.
Cannot vote.
Abstention.
He's going to abstain. Francisco.
No.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
No.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski.
No.
Venkatesan.
No.
Dan Tuno.
Yes.
All right, we have a 4-4
So
tie.
this is a personnel appointment with 8 eligible, which is always a challenge. That motion does not succeed. So at this point, you do not have a new contract for the superintendent. Under the, and this is public information, we may go into executive session if that's the pleasure of the board for attorney-client or personnel, but the public aspect of this is that there are now 2 boxes that are next in this flow chart. The board does have the right to non-renew the superintendent. That would also require 5 votes among the eligible 8. The board, having not renewed this or not accepted the new contract, and if it does not non-renew, then as of April 1st, because there's a 3-month notice period, there would, as Mr. Giordano said a little while ago, be an automatic rollover contract. This is the same thing that happened in 2022. It would be a 3-year deal with all terms of the contract remaining as they are. So those are your options at this point. If there are questions on the process, most of those will be answerable publicly. So we're really still under certified staff, and we can continue this discussion if board members have questions. If we drift into an area that is protected by executive session privilege, I will tell you that, or a board member can make a motion if you have specific attorney-client privilege or personnel issues you wish to address.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
So, just to further what Sal was discussing, and it's news to me, just as of now, but we had a straw vote to come up with this 1-year contract that I believe that was the majority of the board to agree upon. We had the attorney draft a contract, man-hours, it cost the taxpayer money to do that. Went to the county superintendent, I believe, to get that approved. So I'm sure the board's not required, but I guess what Sal's alluding to, I think the public should know that, we'll hear from board members where we went into the executive session to decide on a 1-year contract, and those who said yes to the 1 year are saying no. So
Just to clarify that, Mr. Slade, we're not naming any individual names, but the fact is that we did send a contract to the county superintendent for approval. So the board directed that that be sent. Doesn't matter who, but that means
that's news to me that
I'm just clarifying that we're not talking about what happened in
Not
executive
specifics,
session,
I don't
but the
care who
result
said no.
is public, and that was the result.
Okay, so I would think that the public who pays taxes have the right to know. So, news to me.
But we had 2 options, and some of us wanted the 2-year, but the remainder of the board wanted the 1 year, so that's what we went with. And in good faith, we sent that contract then. But like Sal said, I think that the people who now turned around and voted no without even talking to the rest of us, because we should be a united board, should explain why they voted yes to send it, but now no.
I agree.
So, so
Well, we don't
I
know.
would like-
We don't know how they voted because it's an executive session, so no one knows. That's why I want to. That's why I want to go back and discuss it more. That's why.
I think the conversation should happen in public for the transparency. Elena, you were ready to speak?
Yes, I was. I would like to make an additional motion to put on here, and I would like for us to vote for a non-renewal. That's my motion.
Okay, that is a proper motion because we are in a regular board meeting. So, it's just a
Before we
motion
do
at this
that,
point,
though,
but
Mr. Parton, before we do that, I'd like to have a discussion about why the votes were changed.
you have a motion on the table, so let's get a second, and then we will reopen discussion for really the entire issue. So is there a second for the?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so there's been a motion. Hold on.
That is absolutely unacceptable. He's not able to vote, and he's telling Sal what to do.
Yeah, Mr. Dunn, you gotta, I know, just like the public, I'm gonna ask all of you except the 8 board members to not speak.
You don't need to hear it. I heard it.
Okay. So Ms. Francisco made a motion, Ms. Mazzone seconded. At this point, we can have discussion on the motion on the floor. So
I'll jump right in on that. So if there's a motion to not renew, that's what I'm thinking out loud. So we're not going to renew his contract. So his contract will end June 20 of 25.
Yes, June 30th of this year.
June 30th of 25, okay. And again, hopefully this is an open discussion and we're not hiding. But Dave has been navigating us through the budget, last year's budget and this year's budget. If this guy does not get renewed as of March 30th, how much heart and soul is he going to put into the navigation to get us through this year, next year's budget this year? So I think it's financial suicide. Even if there's nothing personal, you got to keep this guy here for at least a year to get us through next year's budget and also the following year's budget. But to have somebody jump in on July 1st and take over the mess that we have is financial suicide for the district. So I would love to hear rationale that you're not looking to renew, at least the 2 board members who made a motion, and second, why you want to not renew him for at least the 1 year that's on the curriculum, on the agenda.
would either one of you like to give rationale for your motion? Okay. I would like to have some conversation.
Hold on.
guys.
Just like you said last week that a lot of people who wrote
Turn on your mic.
A lot of people that write into you, their opinions doesn't matter. That's how I feel. So I don't have to explain anything. That's my right, and I don't have to explain anything.
But let's be honest, even if we did explain, even if I sat here and I really went through everything, realistically, logically,
We're going to ask the audience to keep comments to themselves and let the board speak, please.
Thank you. It really wouldn't matter. I mean, let's be honest. It wouldn't matter.
But
if
Elena,
I could
you
stand here and stand on my head, and again, we go back to the double standard. So we said for so long that, Mr. Cittadino changed his mind. He did, right? I can feel a lot of different ways about something and still want to move forward in a certain way. I can change my mind. I can have a lot of different perspectives. And here's the thing. It's so hard because you can all sit there and say, oh, she's just making it up. I have spoken to so many people, staff members, parents, community members, past parents, current parents, who will never get up at that podium, who will never send an email because they are afraid. They're afraid for their families. And we all know it's very difficult to get up there. And you can have whatever reaction you like. That's okay. We all have reactions. You can laugh, you can chuckle. It's reality. And I could never, ever break the confidence and trust in the people who confided in me. So yes, I have that stuff in my head too. That weighs very heavily on me. I take all of this very seriously, and if you don't agree with it, that is okay. So yes, that is my explanation because a lot of you aren't hearing those things. I actually asked a couple people today, can I please beg them, can I please share? The answer is no. Okay, I'm not breaking their confidence. So whether you want to believe me or not is up to you. That's fine. But I still have my reasons, and that's it.
All right, then,
I have something else to
Go
say.
ahead.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
So, Elena, when Jen asked you to explain a term you were using just based on change. You said you felt very blindsided that she was asking you that, and that you weren't prepared and you didn't know how to respond to it. But that's exactly how we feel now, because you could have approached us as a cohesive board, but you didn't. You talked about one thing when we were together, and then you came here and did something totally separate, and you didn't even give us reasons. I'm not even talking about the public. I'm talking about us, your fellow board members. It feels very insulting.
So I can't talk about what we said in executive session, like Mr. Parton said, on and who was saying
But
what.
it was never that you were gonna vote.
Well, there
no.
you're kind of giving away executive session, which I think that some of us are
Well,
doing.
Dave's already
So-
given me permission to talk about what the different choices were, so, and how we voted.
Okay, I also have a comment. So with the fact that it's not confirmed, but you're not looking to renew his contract, whoever's deciding that, maybe at that point, or at this point tonight, someone could share with me what your game plan is for July 1st? If you could at least do that, so you could tell me that you're looking to hire an interim superintendent, whatever that process is. You're looking to get somebody new July 1st to inherit this district. So maybe you could, if you don't want to share your notion because you're going to get shot down, if somebody could share with me what the game plan is. My kids are in the school. I'd like to know what going forward July 1st is going to look like.
So I have a few thoughts. One, just because it's in my head to clarify, we technically had three choices regarding Mr. Sedadino's contract. We had the choice to non-renew and not waste people's time and money pushing the contract forward. As was said, the 1-year option and the 2-year option. We could not have done anything that we did as far as sending the contract without the majority of the board, without at least 5 of us saying that we wanted to do it. Elena, when the public spoke earlier, you called out that we're allowed to all have opinions and respect each other's differences, and I think, the board, we've all called each other out on trying to be a more cohesive board, and it didn't feel cohesive. There was tension. Like, I had phone calls this weekend. Let me tell you, I said I was glad this weekend I didn't pay for cell phone by the minute, because I would have had an astronomical bill this weekend. But, rumors of board members calling people and saying, hey, would you be our interim? Like, that's against our ethics code. Like, we're supposed to, I'm not verifying, I'm just saying it was stories I heard. Like everyone else's phone was ringing this weekend. I can't say I was surprised by Sal's question, because, I heard things, but we're trying to respect your thoughts and your opinions, and I think there is ways to say that there's concerns without giving away someone's confidence, but I can't come to someone else's side or respect someone else's side if I don't have any information. So I'm going to echo the call of my fellow board members and say, hey, if you have an issue that maybe I can join your side, fine, tell me. Give me the opportunity to hear your side. But to just say, you change your mind. Yes, you're entitled to change your mind. But I can't join you in your change mind if I don't know any reasons. So those are my comments. Any other conversation on the motion?
Yes, that's what I was told last year. I changed my mind. Okay. Mr. Sedadino, his contract, he was at a frozen salary at 218 or 2020 or whatever it was. And I sat down with him. I said, look, well, here's what we'll do. We'll give you the increase up to $250,000. We went along with it. He was supposed to leave at the end of this year with the $250,000. Then he comes up to me and says, no, I changed my mind. I want more.
Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't know if it was wanting more money or thought he had a board that he could work with, and even if it was different opinions, different sides, we had said the end of last year and the beginning of this year we were coming together. People were asking administration questions, people were getting the answers. maybe that's why Dave's mind was changed, because he thought he had a board that respected him and, he could work with to facilitate any change that people wanted. That's going to be my opinion. Any other conversation?
I want to add some comments, and I want to clarify why I voted no. Definitely the time when we met, it was about 3 weeks back, I think, roughly 3 to 4 weeks back maybe, since we had the conversation. But I learned a lot in the last 4 weeks, especially when we sat down to discuss about the finances. And that does not give me a good feeling. And I did raise quite a bit of questions. And thanks to the administration, you helped me to understand as much as you can. But I'm more forward-looking. This is not about the past, right? Everybody speaks great about Mr. Ciradino, and I do speak great about him as a person and for what he has done to the community. That's hands up, definitely. But I'm more forward-looking again. Imagine, this position, this is the chief superintendent or the chief administrative officer of the school district for 11-year tenure. We need fresh ideas, and we need growth. Like somebody said here in the podium, we have so many hardworking principals. We have assistant superintendents in the line. How do you give growth to people, right? And sooner or other, we'll run out of fresh ideas. This is a problem to solve, both to increase our proficiency in education as well as financial stability. Nothing to complain again on Mr. Ciradino personally. But what I really think is we missed the boat to set forward a future vision. We know about S2 cuts back then, like 8 years ago. We have been taking this year by year. I don't see any active plans of how one would have solved this problem for 3 years to come from now, for 5 years to come from now. So this does not help me comprehend to make a decision to continue with Mr. Ciradino's contract. Nothing again personally with him. All I think is we need some fresh ideas here, the great smart people across the board, across the school districts. And this is becoming a single point of failure. Look at the crowd here, right? This is becoming a single point of failure. It shouldn't be a single point of failure. Things should move on. Things should continue in presence of such an administrator or not in presence of that administrator. That's how a business or an organization should exist and continue. We should not have such a huge dependency on a given person. It's again not about his skills. It's again not about his proficiency. He's done a tremendous job. But some of these things do not comprehend for me. And that's the reason I'm looking for a change. Somebody who can come and set forth a bold vision, all the financial strain that we have, bring in some innovation around some of this. There's nothing new there's nothing new, and it's not the only district that is suffering. We do have other districts, suffered or come out of this situation or having other plans to get grants or whatsoever. So we need fresh ideas here to move on. Thank you.
Kieran, I have a question for the comments that you had made. All for change, all for fresh ideas. Part of the one-year conversation was that would give us time to do a complete and correct and thorough superintendent search. So in my opinion, the 1 year was more board serving than community serving. To non-renew right here and now, and this is no offense to any substitute teacher, but you're essentially putting a substitute in the chief administration chair July 1st for an unbeknownst amount of time. It's someone that is not handpicked by a certain member of the board. It is someone that is a collective board decision, and the process has to be done correctly. We have to do a correct search for an interim superintendent. It's not a store thing that we just go and click on the Amazon box. So if you're wanting that efficiency and fresh ideas, how are we going to get that July 1st with essentially a substitute in that chair? That's my question.
Okay. And then I would also like to add that whether it's 1 year or non-renewal, the search is going to happen regardless. So I'd rather keep the current superintendent and conduct the search. That's it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
All right.
What are we voting on?
So we have a motion from the floor for a non-renewal. Motion by Francisco, seconded by Mazzone. So this is a motion number. This is resolution number 11 for
So
non.
David, just to clarify, a yes or no?
A yes is to non-renew.
Like I said, I think we should go into executive session again to discuss the legal ramifications.
Are you moving
I'm not
to
gonna,
go
I'm
into?
not, I'm,
Are you making
I'm
a
not-
motion to go into
Yes, I am.
executive
I'm
session?
I'm not voting on that until I know everything. And we could discuss as a board. Yeah.
Anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second.
I'll second. Okay.
All right, so we have a motion from Giordano to go into exec at 9:07, and we have a second by D'Antuno, and we need 5 votes to go into exec, correct?
Yes, just to clarify, Mr. Dunn, you are eligible to this vote, but you will not come into executive session, but you can vote on whether or not the board goes into executive session.
Will the vote still be in public?
Oh, yes.
Yes, the vote will still be in public.
All right, so this is a motion to go into executive session. Dunn,
Absolutely, yes.
Francisco,
No.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
No.
Slade,
No.
Solikowski,
No.
Venkatason,
No.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
So you are not in executive session. We can continue the discussion now. Mr. Giordano, if you have questions that are protected by attorney-client privilege, I will tell you that. If they are protected by Mr. Cittadino's personnel privacy rights, I will tell you that. Otherwise,
Ask away.
ask away.
Okay, I would like to discuss his qualifications in executive session so I can make a better decision on whether to non-renew or not.
So you want to make another motion for executive session for matters of personnel to discuss Mr. Cittadino's qualifications?
Yes.
Anyone care to second that motion?
I'll second that motion, Mr. Parton.
Discussion on the motion, if any, although it's just a question of whether or not to go into executive session. David?
Roll call.
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Francisco,
No.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
No.
Slade,
No.
Solikowski,
No.
Venkatason,
No.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Okay, no, it does not pass. To go into executive session to discuss Mr. Cittadino's qualifications.
Resuming discussion.
Okay. So just go ahead and ask your questions.
No, I'm just saying, if it's 4-4, which would be the opposite of what we just did, then the contract rolls over for 3 years.
Yes.
And I do not want that to happen, but I do want to keep Mr. Cittadino for another year. But it appears the option is an additional 3 years or none.
Correct.
That-
That's what you're voting
Can we
on.
no, but like we could discuss
Yeah,
discuss
okay.
that in public.
We can discuss that in public.
Okay.
So the motion that's before you right now is still an open motion for non-renewal. If that motion passes, we have a non-renewal effective July 1st, 2025. Mr. Cittadino could assert his tenure and seniority rights. He is a tenured assistant superintendent, principal, and vice principal here in the Old Bridge School District. So there could be bumping effects there, but his time as superintendent would end on July 1st. If that vote is not successful, and you said 4-4, if it doesn't get 5, no matter what it gets, if it's less than 5, then if nothing else happens between now and March 30th, you do have the rollover contract for a period of 3 years. A board member who voted against, and stay with me now, who voted against the one-year extension contract could make the decision to make a motion to reconsider that decision. At that point, if you approve, and I'm not making this up, if you approve the motion to reconsider, we would then reconsider. And that would be a fresh vote, and it could be 4-4 again. It could be 6-2 or 2-6, but you could revisit the issue because you're right. Otherwise, you have a 3-year deal coming to you by courtesy of a state statute, not by your own decision. So that is the update on the flow chart at this time.
Mhm. And we haven't fully discussed as a board since we made that consensus agreement. So I think we should reconsider, discuss it again. And like I said, I do not want 3 years. Like I said, I'd rather do a year now and then do a proper search.
There's a motion on the floor, though, so what happens?
At this point, Sal, I understand your point, but you cannot make that motion yet because there is still a motion. So motions to go into executive session were appropriate, but at this point we have to kind of finish the action on the non-renewal motion, and then at that point we would determine what the board's pleasure is to do next.
Okay.
So for I was going to say for clarification, so if 5 votes choose non-renewal, does it not mean Mr. Cittadino has to exit the district July 30th or June 30th? He could choose his tenure rights and still stay in district.
Correct.
In another position.
Yes.
Wait, Mr. Barn, could you clarify that?
Yes.
Please.
The way it works with almost all the positions in the school district and any school district in New Jersey is that you get tenure after 4 years. It used to be 3. That is true all the way up to assistant superintendent of schools, but since 1996 it has not been true of superintendents. Superintendents get contractual tenure, which is why we talk about 3, 4, and 5-year deals, because that is the universe of options for a superintendent. The reason we have a 1-year extension possible is that the underlying contract's 3, it would become 4. So if a superintendent is non-renewed in his or her capacity as superintendent, that person still has tenure rights in other positions that they have held in the school district. Mr. Cittadino is, as he sits here now, a tenured assistant superintendent, a tenured principal, and a tenured vice principal. So he could choose, and it is his choice, to assert those tenure rights, in which case on July 1st, he would be the next position in which he could bump, meaning have more seniority than somebody else, on the rungs of the ladder before where he finds himself right now.
Okay. Thank you.
And that, just to clarify, I know there's always Monday morning quarterbacking on this type of thing, and understandably so. That's pursuant to a state statute and a decision out of Asbury Park, actually, that says exactly that. That's what happens.
Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call on the on Elena's motion, please.
All right, so this is
for non-renewal.
This is roll call on motion 11 for non-renewal, moved by Francisco, seconded by Mazzone.
And just to clarify, yes means non-renewal.
A yes vote will mean non-renewal. Dunn?
Abstention.
Yep. Francisco? Giordano?
Yes.
Jodry?
No.
Mazzone?
Yes.
Slade?
No.
Solikowski?
Yes.
Venkatesan?
Yes.
D'Antuno?
No.
So 5 votes yes for non-renewal. Motion
Yes.
11 passed.
This is a slap in the face to your employees. It's not about Dave. It's about the people you employ. And we've had enough.
So there are 5.
Please.
You already have issues staffing your district.
Security.
Okay.
Good luck.
Security.
So we have
Kathy, you're going to have trouble getting subs tomorrow.
So we have 5 votes for non-renewal. Based on the board's action, Mr. Cittadino is non-renewed as of July 1st, 2025.
Mr. Parton, now since the vote has occurred, am I free to speak?
Unless any other board member has any other action on the superintendent's contract that we want to move or discuss. Anybody?
But you just said he would have the rights to be at that same level, assistant superintendent.
To be an assistant superintendent. He would
If he chooses, he doesn't have to.
If he so chooses, he could remain as an assistant superintendent with the salary that goes with assistant superintendent.
And that's why I want to go into executive session. So, like I said, so we could discuss that plan.
It's not our plan to make. Our job is to give him a contract or not give him a contract. And if he chooses to walk away July 1st, he can. If he chooses to say, you know what, I'm sticking around, he can. And all that information was given to the board before their vote.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Do you have questions, Mr. Giordano?
Yep, like I said, I didn't want to involve the public in these questions. It's
But
something we have to discuss as a board together. And that was the condition of my vote.
Well,
Can you make the motion to revote?
you can make a motion to go into executive session to talk about the legal implications of
Like I said, 'cause
what just happened.
No, because that was conditioned on my vote. Because we had the 4-4.
Well, we didn't have anything. We hadn't voted yet.
No, we voted. The 1 year was 4-4.
Right. The contract was 4-4. Yes.
Like I said, and I do not want to give the automatic 3-year extension.
But our
And
choices was a
the
3-year
board chose not to go into executive session to discuss the recourse.
And that's their right to do. The board does not have to thing. Our choice was to essentially let him go July 1st, or say, all right, well, we can't agree on a 1 year, we'll just stick with 3 years and make the best of it. And those were our two choices, and that's the way we voted.
No.
And
like I said, I wasn't going to give him the extra 3 years.
And
That's
you
the
chose
point.
not to, and that's your opinion and your vote to give. But the result of that vote is July 1st, we will have an interim superintendent.
Do you have attorney-client questions that you want to go into executive session for now?
Would you like to go into executive session again?
Yeah, because that would change my vote. Yes.
Well,
Make a motion.
Are we still
Rich, don't-
permitted,
Rich,
are
don't
we
help.
still permitted to make a motion to put 1 year back on the table?
Yes. Well, it depends who it is. Hold on. First of all, we have a motion to go into executive session, but
No one made the motion.
Sal, didn't you just make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Then I will second Sal's motion.
At 9:20.
Any discussion for? Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait
We'll
for
wait
Ms.
for Elena
Francisco.
to vote.
So we have a motion at 9:20 for Giordano to go
Seconded.
into exec, seconded by
Dan Tuono.
Dan Tuno, to discuss ramifications of the decision.
Attorney-client privilege.
Attorney-client privilege. And we will wait for the vote
Yes.
until
Yes, let's
Ms. Francisco is back.
Yes. I'm just going to stretch my legs and stand.
So Ms. Francisco, we are now entertaining another motion to go into exec session for attorney-client privilege, but we're waiting until all board members were present. So back to you, Mr. Waddell.
Okay, so this is a motion by Giordano to go into executive session for attorney-client privilege. Motioned by Giordano, seconded by D'Antuno. Done.
Yes.
Francisco.
Attorney-client privilege for what? I'm just trying to understand what we're trying to discuss.
To discuss legal ramifications of the decision to non-renew. Is that fair to say, Mr. Giordano? That is your motion?
Okay, sure, yes.
Francisco
Yes,
was a yes.
because the choice of non-renewal, because you said as superintendent. So if he does have the rights to be lowered to assistant superintendent, he would remain in the district. And as the interim would come in, he could assist the interim in that position until we find a suitable replacement in a search.
If he chooses.
If
He
he
does not
so-
have to.
Right.
And that's what I'd like to discuss.
Right.
And that
So-
was the condition, that was the condition of my vote.
Okay, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Giordano was a yes.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
No.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Venkatesan.
No.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, we're in executive session.
Executive session, and you will go to the conference room. Are we all joining you?
I think it's just Mr. Parton and the board, correct?
If that's okay with Dave.
Dave, that okay with you? Or do you want to be part of the conversation?
I think Mr. Cedino should be in the room for that. No?
Yeah, Dave is an ex officio member of the board, so let's at least start out that way.
All right. You guys will be going into executive session as of 9:24. We will see you back in a little bit.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you for hanging around. Any more discussion on item number 1 of certificated personnel?
Yes, after going through executive session, the condition of my vote was misguided based on the advice I had, so I would like to ask for to change my non-renewal vote to no.
So we're re-voting? He's making a motion. We need a second?
Yeah, you're making a motion to reconsider the non-renewal decision.
Yes.
Okay, so we need
Because and the board
Well, that could be into discussion. Let's go into, right? Or let him
Yes.
explain.
Yes. Well, you can explain what you're trying
the,
to say, so.
The board denied me my ability to get legal counsel about this question, which was the condition of my vote.
Okay.
So you have a motion to reconsider.
I was, like I said, I was put on the spot, and based on this information, I'd like to change my vote.
Okay, can anyone second? Or
Yeah,
it has to be a certain party?
Okay, so there's a motion at 9:54 by Giordano to reconsider the non-renewal vote. Is there a second?
Slater second.
Roll call, please. Well, any discussion?
So just
So
because
this
it's 10
is
o'clock at night, what's the, yes means what and no means what?
But this is an important
It is.
discussion.
No, okay.
No, this
No.
is to revisit.
It's just to return to the discussion on non-renewal.
No, my vote should be changed because I wasn't.
Well, hold
given
on.
the-
We have, right now, your motion is to do a
I'm sorry. You're saying something different. And given our recent history together, it's an extremely important difference. We are still in an active board meeting. Mr. Giordano, are you changing your vote on a motion that was placed before the board, your own vote?
Yes,
And what vote do you want to change?
my non-renewal vote.
So we had a vote on non-renewal of the superintendent, and I know all of you were here, but I'm saying this for the record because this is going to become important. So at 8:54, we had a motion by Francisco, seconded by Mazzone, for the non-renewal of the superintendent effective July 1st, 2025. And Mr. Giordano, you voted yes on that motion. Is that correct?
Yes,
And you wish to change your vote?
yes.
Mr. Wydell and Ms. Torrey, when you get this,
Yes.
can you please change the minutes to reflect that Mr. Giordano has changed his own vote? We are not reconsidering the issue. We are changing a board member's vote.
Okay, so as of 9:57, on motion number 11, which was the vote for non-renewal, we are changing Giordano's vote from yes to no,
That is correct.
which in effect puts the result at 4-4.
That is also correct.
Can I ask a question? So this is the first time I've seen this happen where you just request to change your vote. Is that something we could always do on any vote? How long after the fact do we have to change a vote?
You have until adjournment of the meeting at which you cast that vote yourself. And that's why I went through what I just went
Yep.
through, because you can change your own vote. To reintroduce an issue for discussion by the full board requires a successful motion for reconsideration, because you're trying to convince somebody else. If you are simply changing your own vote, you have the right to do that within the confines of the active board meeting. And that's what Mr. Giordano has done.
Yes. And now I would like to make a motion to reconsider the one-year extension.
Did you vote against that?
Nope, I
Yes.
voted yes for that.
You voted yes for the one-year extension, Mr. Giordano. So you cannot introduce a motion to disturb that result because you voted for it and it did not succeed. So the only people who can vote to reconsider the contract extension vote would be the people who voted against it, which is Ms. Francisco, Ms. Mazzone, Mr. Solikowski, and Mr. Venkatesan.
So,
Let's put it back on the table for 1-year extension. I do.
Mr. Solikowski, you wish to make that motion?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Olmos, second.
Do we have discussion?
Hold on.
Okay, so at 9:59,
Not enough
We've
paper.
been reduced to pure scribble at this point.
Not enough motion paper?
9:59, a
So-
motion to put.
I have one question.
Hold on, we've got to just get to this point, and then we're going to have discussion. Just bear with us
Okay,
for 1
okay.
second.
Moved
So
by
the
Solikowski.
Motion to reconsider the personnel, certified personnel, item number 1, moved by Mr. Solikowski, seconded by Ms. Mazzone.
Yes, at 9:59.
So now, discussion on that motion. I'm sorry, Mr. Venk.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to understand, where are we at this point? Just before this motion, right? Where are we at this point? There were 4 fours for 1 year, and then a motion was moved for non-renewal. It was 5-4, but
No, it was 5-3.
Mr. Sal came back to 4-4 now, so it's 4-4 right now, correct?
Yes.
So what happens with that? With both being,
So now, the non-renewal vote has failed.
okay?
So now we're just kind of back in the board meeting, and now Mr. Solikowski is making a motion to reconsider the original vote on the 1-year extension.
So it's back to square one, and then it's almost like starting from the fresh.
That is a fair thing to say.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Washed it all.
So,
Any further discussion?
So just to be clear, Mr. Parton, on the table is the original contract, and if it goes to a 4-4 vote again, then the rollover contract applies. Just want everybody to understand where we are.
that is correct.
Yes.
Is this a motion to reconsider, or this is the reconsideration vote?
This is the motion to reconsider. If successful, this will reopen discussion on number 1.
Okay.
So, Mr. Solikowski has
Wait,
moved it,
wait.
Ms. Mazzone has,
So a yes means we are willing to re-vote on?
that is correct.
Okay. Correct.
Yes.
No. No, it's
No,
not.
not yet, because we have to reopen that discussion. That's because Sal changed his vote. That this is different than an individual changing their vote. Again, sorry for all the procedure. We're saying yes to revote. Okay?
So so that everyone understands the ramifications, if we don't revisit it, if we vote no to reopen the voting, we're stay at a 4-4.
Correct.
And it automatically gets renewed for the 3 years.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so for clarification for the pub.
Mr. Parton do it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for clarification, if the,
Not too much. He's been kind to us.
yeah, I've been pretty good about that. Please. Oh, yes, thank you. This is a motion to reconsider. It is not the actual motion. This is a motion to reopen discussion. So if this motion is successful, we are returning to the vote on the 1-year extension. No.
Clarifying everything.
Are we ready? Dunn, you will abstain.
Abstention?
Francisco,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
D'Antuno.
No.
Okay. We have 8 yes, or 7 yes, and 1 no. So the motion to reconsider number 1 has been passed.
That is correct. So we are back to certified personnel item number 1, Ms. D'Antuono.
Okay. Any more discussion on item number 1?
Wait, can I, can I mean, you've been asking.
Yeah,
well,
you're welcome to ask.
I can ask, right? I mean, I'm going to ask. Why vote no? Unless I'm confused.
Because if we stayed at 4-4, he stayed for 3 years.
And
That would have been my preference. You're welcome.
Okay.
All right, can we please, any more discussion on item number 1?
Yes,
ahead.
extending it for 1 year, making him the de facto interim, and doing a search is the correct way to go.
I don't know if it's a de facto interim, but. Oh.
That's
I'm
so-
going to call him the regular superintendent for a year, but sure.
Of course, yes.
All right, any more discussion? Roll call, please.
So I am now adding this as motion 11, 12, 13, 14.
No, all the executive session motions are separate. So this is really a
12.
an authorized recall on certified staff number 1.
So recall on number 1.
Yes.
Okay. Revote on number 1.
The past 3 hours are for nothing.
Okay. And we had the move by.
That was Mazzone and Jodry.
You moved that? Wait. You did?
No, not.
No.
No, originally the motion was moved by Marjorie and Jodry. The original motion.
Okay, so we're returning to that. Are you comfortable making that motion? Ms. Joder, you second that?
I second it.
Mazzone, Jodry, revote on 1. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Yes.
Done. You will abstain.
Absolutely.
Francisco,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Motion for a revote on 1 to pass Mr. Cedeno's contract has passed by a vote of 8 to 0.
Yes.
And now I'd like to direct the board president to start the process of a superintendent search for the beginning of the next year.
Can I recover a day or 2 from today, and then I
course,
will start the
yes.
process?
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, so now we're on to non-certificated personnel. Congratulations for staying for a year, I think.
I'm not sure if
I don't know where we go with that one, but we'll try. So, thank you all for hanging around. So now we move on to transportation. Item number 1. Can I have a motion?
Slate a move.
Mazzone, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for transportation passes.
Okay, supplies, equipment, and services, items 1 through 8. Can I have a motion, please?
Mazzone,
Done.
motion.
Dunn will second, Madam President.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 8 for supplies, equipment, and services passes.
Miscellaneous, items 1 through 7. Can I have a motion, please?
Mazzone, motion.
Can I have a second, please?
Second for miscellaneous.
Can I have a second, please?
Slate a sec.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jodry,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solikowski,
Yes.
Venkatesan,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7 for miscellaneous passes.
Any board secretary and board business?
None tonight.
Okay. Is there any hearing of the residents on any district item? Again, please sign in on the binder. Go ahead.
Teresa Burns, I had some questions that were luckily addressed during the chatter. One about the tenure pay, if Mr. Citadino had chosen to take a place in the district. It was answered by Mr. Parton. Our time here is also valuable. I would appreciate it if the board could be more cohesive in what they bring to the agenda, because I was blindsided by the no renewal for the rest of the year. It's just a courtesy to us, the taxpayer, to make sure that we use our time efficiently, making sure that we can ask all of our questions here when we have the time at the mic, because I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but yeah, it was definitely upsetting. Thank you.
Yes, I just had to bring up when you talk about.
I'm sorry, could you just for the record, can you state your name again?
Sure, Dr.
Sorry.
Anita Greenberg-Belli. So when we talked about the cutting of funds to the school board, I think it's atrocious also. But I think it's also atrocious when the Democratic Senate and the Council, when Senator Henry put a bill up, which is, anyone can look at it, Senate Bill 3076, if they supported that, no money would have been taken from the school at all, and that would have been the best thing. Instead, they passed where you can increase the taxes to 10% to the residents. That is not sustainable for anyone who lives here. And for Gopal to be talking about that the value of our houses have gone up. Is anyone selling their house to pay for their kids to go to public school? I don't think so. That's a little bit absurd. So when you look at that in all the context, that's when I mean the governor, if he has to take money from this town, I think he's targeting us for a different reason. And if you just look at the other districts that he did. We have the lottery. We have online betting. We have so many different ways that they waste money, that he went from $36 billion to nearly $60 billion. That's more than $2 billion a year, and he sees it fit to take away from school districts. It's unconscionable. But then that brings me back. I really want to say that I watched the March 11th meeting, and I do have to say it was truly an eye-opener. I am for education. For the Board of Ed president to call achieving a doctorate a piece of paper is unbelievable. Although I strongly believe in the trades, and there are many successful people without degrees, it is appalling to diminish a doctorate degree to nothing more than a piece of paper. I would hope anyone sitting on this board, especially the board president, would think higher education is important and knowledge is power. Finally, I have to say, it was disgusting and appalling to hear board member Mr. Jay Slade talk about a clown car in reference to the public speaking. It is obvious you have no moral decency, and to use foul language when you're sitting up on the dais is unacceptable. You are certainly not a role model for students and have no respect for the residents. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
After everyone else has had a chance to speak.
Hi, it's Mariah Kamowicz again. So in regards to Bill 3076, if anybody had technically looked at it, they would have seen the money that was pulled from 36 was actually coming from community organizations that was helping out. So for example, the Domino's Club was not about playing dominoes. It was an organization that helped people within the community for food, shelter, and everything else they need. So the money that came from there was actually taken away from other places. In regards, if we talk about the elephant in the room, again, I've been here 45 years. The elephant in the room, we have not been assessed for 30 plus years, which is why we keep getting hit. It has nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans no more. It's the way our tax system works in Old Bridge. So when it came to last year, I'm gonna throw it out there, it was taking the lesser of two evils. 300 extra a year to pay for the school tax, or an additional 6,000 that would have came from the state. It's like you created a Pandora box, stop shaking it. We should all be working together. Been doing this too long in this township. All this division and stuff needs to stop. Thank you for renewing Cedino for at least a year. I'm sorry to say after he goes, because his shoes to be filled is gonna be hard. But as far as this whole back and forth stuff, it needs to stop. We know what the elephant in the room is. Thank you.
I know. Everyone panics when I come up here. Scott Mazzella, Public Relations Coordinator and teacher at Sauk. Mr. Parton, I was wondering if we could all apply for credits for the law lesson we all got tonight for the way we all went back and forth? Is that something we could all apply for and the town will reimburse us?
No, we don't have any money.
We don't have any money? That sounds good. I just want to be the first person at the podium to congratulate Mr. Cittadino. You and the country next year are going to have a very big year, 250th anniversary of America. And your last year, let's make it the best one. Let's get to work. Old Bridge, let's do this. All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead. Oh, that's right. I apologize. You did have the rest of your time.
I would actually be remiss if I did not thank Mrs. Francisco for saying we all are here to work together. I thank you for that reminder. I did want to add a comment about the doctorate. I personally don't have a doctorate. I don't have a master's. I don't think I brought the comment or thought it was more about inherent worth. But I do think doctorates do bring more value of words. So when we speak about masks, vaccines, things like that, those doctorates hold more weight than others. Does that make sense? So I appreciate that discussion, and thank you.
My name is Brooke Richards Patterson. A lot of this was going to be touching on stuff that's kind of already been a moot point. But I just did want to, touch on some things because, going out for, I guess, the final year and then considering everybody that's coming in, it is important to touch on some of the things, I guess, to piggyback off of last week, some parental comments, some teachers union, board member comments, and then Board of Ed members. Contrary to what anyone says, any concerns expressed are not little things. Closing down a blue ribbon school is not a little thing. Not considering the consumers during school shutdowns is not little. We literally got emails to do in-person tutoring at the YMCA when our tax dollars pay for township schooling. Not little. There was no transparency with parents as far as sexualizing a curriculum that was being presented to young innocent children. Not little. Despite some fake news remarks, Planned Parenthood, anal and oral sex, masturbation were all just a few topics that had no business being, planted into our children's heads. Yet this was something that was announced by not our administration. Every child should be tested in the state for state and IXL testing. No faculty member should be recruiting friends nor family members without full transparency and a resume detailed with qualifications. Every faculty member should be able to feel safe to come forward to any and all upper admin concerns and upsets without feeling like they will be retaliated against. This is not little. Every paras should not be injured at work by consumers due to not being offered the appropriate training that other districts offer. That's not little. I'd like to know if admin has access to the Board of Ed emails, and if so, why? Where would a faculty member go for help regarding admin conflict? Why are so many parents and faculty members afraid to speak up? I campaigned for Board of Ed last year. The superintendent actually wasn't even on my radar's priorities, believe it or not. But so many people came forward as I campaigned and expressed their upset and live in fear of retaliation. So, even yesterday, a complete stranger messaged me talking about her children and fear of retaliation. A faculty member, a prior faculty member, talked about, discrimination. And these people are just afraid. I've tried to encourage them to come and talk because otherwise, just one or two people is just going to, be perceived as bitter. You have these people go on and, say all these nasty things online just because you're a parent expressing yourself. And I'm a parent. I'm going to say, what I want to say. I'd like for the schools to stop pretending that we are excelling in advance with test scores and circle back to the younger core kids. Still, in the schools since the shutdown. I know I asked for 2 years of help, and it was actually Mr. Cittadino was the only one that helped me, and that took 2 years after being rejected by multiple faculty members, including the assistant superintendent. Administrative decisions combined with nepotism on the Board of Ed have led to a movement, and people are just looking for change. We are consumers. Everybody should be working together, taking action. Last week I was interrupted from speaking, and then I was followed by a conflicted Board of Ed member whose wife is in the system, overshadowing and attempting to invalidate my concerns with rude, unprofessional, and out-of-line commentary towards me, a district parent. Mr. Dunn, despite not being a voting member on the contract matter, attempted to influence and persuade both the Board of Ed members and general public while trying to shame me as a parent. I just want to say the same with Mr. Slade, who cursed at the last meeting, called residents in town clowns. This needs to stop. The Board of Ed should create a bylaw to prevent faculty members that are conflicted related to members for Board of Ed. It's unethical, it's opportunistic, and a waste of time and money. This could have been voted on one way or the other already if we didn't continue to vote in conflicted, Board of Ed members. They're not being transparent. Mr. Dunn invoked a doctrine of necessity in 2019 so that five conflicted Board of Ed members could vote. This is dishonest, it's not transparent nor ethical. So I encourage the Board of Ed to abolish having this ability for invoking the doctrine of necessity and also having conflicted Board of Ed members. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm closing the public portion. Any board member with old business?
Madam President?
Go ahead.
Mr. Parton, there was accusations that were just made towards me invoking the doctrine of necessity for a board vote. You know as well as everyone on this board that never happened, and quite frankly, I'm getting tired of the misinformation that is being out there. So have I ever invoked that?
Well,
it doesn't matter if it's there or not because it never happened.
The answer is that no board member has ever invoked the doctrine of necessity. The board invokes the doctrine of necessity when it doesn't have 5 eligible voters. So that has happened in the past. It's not happening currently. We only have 1 conflicted board member right now. But it happens elsewhere, and unless the state law changes, you're going to have conflicted board members who are ineligible for certain things, and doctrine of necessity can occasionally come up.
And the other question about people reading board emails under the Open Public Records Act, anyone could access board emails. So it could be anyone in the town, state, anyone has access. So be careful what you send us.
I can assure you we're not looking through your emails. We have our own.
But I'm saying it's not an administration thing. It's anyone has access. It's a public record.
I'm going to address the doctorate comment. Yes, I did say it's a piece of paper, and I do think it. Listen, everything's a piece of paper, right? Like the Constitution is a piece of paper. It doesn't mean it doesn't have meaning, okay? But at time of interview, yeah, a doctorate can make a difference. But I also think we get to a point where your experience and your work ethic and your work performance make up for a piece of paper. So I didn't say it wasn't worth anything. Christina called me out on it, and I thanked her for it and said, yes, you're right. It is a lot of hard work. Hard work I didn't do, and others did. Congratulations. Great job. You should be proud of the educational level that it is. But I don't think that piece of paper has to be your end-all, be-all for the rest of everything. So that's where I stand on the piece of paper.
Jen, in addition, Dave stated that he did the coursework. So he, in effect, didn't get the paper because he didn't defend his dissertation, but he did the coursework.
Yeah. So, any new business?
I have something, just to bring a lighter note to this meeting. We had that Lucky Charms campaign. We raised over $700 in grant money, but I want to read some of the responses I got from, these are from the teachers. So you know the impact that it had. So one of the notes was, I received the most wonderful Lucky Charm today, and when I saw it from you, the biggest smile formed on my face. You truly made my entire day and my whole week. This gift is so special, it means the world to me. I hope you're having an amazing year in high school, and I can't wait to visit your class in the next few weeks. Thank you again for my incredible Lucky Charm. You are the best. I got a few more that came. I am the best, right, so I got more. Thank you, that made my Monday extra special. That's very cute, thank you. I love you girls, I'm crying. Thank you for sharing, have a great weekend. This is so sweet, that's adorable. Can I donate? Oh, I love this. Thank you so much for sharing. It's nice to be appreciated. I enjoy working with all my students. So just another small reminder that the teachers care, and they love to hear from the parents and students how much we appreciate them. So in addition to us raising money, it's a nice karma between the students and the staff. So thank you.
Can I say something, Jen?
Yeah, go for it.
So I was going to say something, and then I wasn't, and now I changed my mind now that we've lightened it up. But talking about it's nice to appreciate, I just wanted to say that a lot of times people, families from the district, contact us with problems, with issues they're having, with situations. But I have to say, in every single situation that has to do with this person, no matter what the problem is, no matter what the issue, no matter how difficult something has been, if they've had anything to do with Miss Adinolfi, they always say nothing but wonderful things about her. They can have any kind of problem or any kind of issue, but no matter what it is, people always mention how well she listens, how empathetic she is, how much she cares, and I just wanted to thank you and bring that up.
Any other new business?
Yeah, I want to add one thing. So as probably some of you know, SEPTA is working with the Woolbridge Township Department of Special Services, Dr. Tui, Dr. Dirtry, Ms. Adinolfi, along with the principal of Woolbridge High School, Dr. Sasso, on a multi-classroom renovation initiative. It's probably all over the place on the social media. I encourage people to please support this initiative. They have a donation link, as well as their objective is to collect about 15,000, and they're about 23% right now, and there are about 100 days left. So I encourage the community to please contribute. Thank you.
Anyone else? New business?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what happened before, I'm glad I got more information about the tenure law. I had a misunderstanding, so I'm glad we went to executive session to discuss that, and that was the reason for my vote change. Despite my stoic demeanor, that vote did catch me off guard, and so that was my mistake to vote based erroneously without knowing all the information. I'm glad I got all the information. We've had murmurs in the audience, and some board members considered it a waste of time. So whatever time we spent, I will compensate the board attorney instead of putting down the taxpayer. We'll discuss that later. And I'm glad we got to do this search, and we're going to find a suitable replacement. And the public could be assured everything will be fine. And it was mentioned that someone was trying to convince me, and no one tells me how to vote. And that's why I'm in the position I'm in now, unfortunately. If you know, you know. But I'm glad we got to come together, and now we could move forward. Thank you.
I think what Sal's saying is he'd like to buy us all dinner.
Go ahead. Did you want to speak? Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were talking about that. So I had two things that I did want to touch on, and we'll see we'll end on a good note. So I do feel it is, it's been addressed tonight, so I'm just going to say it again because I had planned on saying it anyway. I feel it's my responsibility as a board member to address some of the comments that were made last week. Being a board member is a privilege to me, and I take my role very seriously. To be respectful and open and listen and reflect on what everybody says, because everybody's voice matters. And I was a little embarrassed last week by a couple of comments that were made. And Ms. D'Antuono, you apologized for what you said. I felt like it was a heartfelt apology. I understand what you were trying to say, but the point is that you apologized, you acknowledged it, and so I respect that. But I do feel like, and again, I'm just trying to, all night we've been holding each other accountable, right? And that's our job to do. So I didn't like the negative dialogue from Mr. Slade towards a group of people who come and advocate for children. Whether you agree or disagree, everybody's voice matters. And to say the things that you said, like it's, an SHIT show, we're supposed to be treating this as a classroom, and we don't say those words in a classroom. Your opinions don't resonate with me. You have no credibility here just for the controversy. I don't get moved by your little speeches up there. And then to insinuate that they came in a clown car as if they were a joke, and that what they said is less than what other people say, because that's certainly how it felt when you said it. It's not okay for board members to behave in that way and to say those types of things. So I think it would be nice to, hear from you and have a possible apology, because that's not how we should be treating our people of our community. And then I was going to mention SEPTA and the great work you're doing. Kieran has already done that, so I'm not going to go through it again. But honestly, if you can donate, it's truly going to help our students in this district. So thank you. Yeah. Oh, yes. Their meeting is this Thursday, the 20th. It is virtual. Right. It's not actually them. They're using somebody. Oh, you go ahead. You go. You got it. No, you go. You go. You have all the details.
Well, so SEPTA is having their meeting on the 20th at 6:30. It's via Zoom this time because they're hosting the Arc of New Jersey, and they're going to talk about transition to adulthood. So you should go on their website and register. You have to register to join, and then you'll get the link, and it's going to be a good session.
Yes, I'd like to speak. You wear me down. Because my wife did yell at me when I got home when I said the SH blank T word, so I will apologize for using that language. In reference to my opinion, I'm here 4 years. When I isolated, and again, I wasn't even planning to speak that night, but when and I'm standing behind it, because I think these board meetings should be about positivity, celebration. Yeah, there's going to be some controversial topics, but I'm sorry, when you got the same 5 or 6 people that only show up when there's controversial topics, they're not here tonight, so maybe my job was mission accomplished, but I never see them here when it comes to positive things. I don't see them here when it comes to celebration of things. So I will apologize for my language, because I got yelled at when I got home, and Elena just yelled at me. So I apologize for that, but it's my perception, it's my opinion of what I see. And I mentioned this a while ago about the podium. I'd love to bring back positive news. I mean, it seems like, I'm here 4 years. Every meeting, I won't say the S word, every meeting is a show. So, I don't know, there's got to be some positivity that we could bring back. I know when Scott brings up things and he tries to turn the directions of the meetings, I think we need more of that. So, no, you did. No, that's good. But I'm sick, so yes, I apologize for my language, but I just don't like when I see just negative vibes and just I don't know. I just don't like it. My opinion.
I brought this up last year. Can we have like a shout out from a school each month of like, hey, like these are cool things, whether it's the student council president, whether it's, I don't care if it's a custodian, like every voice in that school matters. Like I'd love to hear something. We have the high school rep, so I'll put that. I want to thank, I know some members did it last week. I was waiting for like the regular meeting. For the classrooms that had us in for Read Across America, I think all of us board members that participated had a great time. Whether it's a preschooler sitting on my lap or, a 4th grader making me read Pirates Love Underpants, it was a fun week. And I know most of us really enjoy going to the classrooms. I think there's a few Q&U weddings going on this week and stuff like that, or this month. So those are some cool things that are going on in the district, and thank you for inviting the board.
Madam President, I'd like to say a few words before we adjourn. So a few things real quick. Number one, I'm very proud of the board tonight, honestly. I think that we came to our senses, even though I was excluded, because trying to fill the shoes of the superintendent at this point in this juncture of our situation would have been a travesty to our district, our children, and our teachers. And I see that the board did take that into consideration and went back and deliberated and made the right decision. And, you know, I just want to, you know, say thank you. And just to make it known, I wasn't trying to influence a vote. I saw that Sal was a little concerned. He was a little confused. And I said to him, you know, very clearly, and it was heard by Elena, do the right thing. Don't let your heart be troubled. And that's what I said. So with all transparency, I wasn't trying to do anything that was inappropriate. I kept my mouth shut this whole evening. I'm very outspoken, and you know, I will tell you as it is. I don't hold my punches back. But I just do want to say to the board that thank you. You made the right decision this evening. 1 year is going to get us into a better position to understand our budget crisis. And you know, David and the administration that's here now, they know the pitfalls. They know how to piece together the puzzle here to make this district continue as it is. And I just want to applaud, you know, everyone here who changed the vote and made this happen. And I sincerely thank you, and thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Any last comments? Because this went on a lot last.
Nobody did open.
All right. Motion to adjourn. Wait, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, now that you're here for another year?
I obviously, I want to thank the board and the people from this community, the schools, you know, every one of the staff. You know, I've been with you guys for a long time, and it's wonderful working with each and every one of you. I always feel that, you know, I've always said that unity is our strength. So over the course of next year and the continuation of this year, we have so many good events coming up. You know, I always like, aside from the budget, which has never been easy, for the S2 districts that we've pointed out, the falls of S2 districts, and I'm happy to get town council members here with us now, because it's not our first year, it's not our second year. And each year I've been pointing that it's a funding formula problem, it's a transparency problem, but having people coming together, if we can work towards that together, we'll be a better community. If we can work towards coming together on some of our differences, it'll be better, because the spring is the best. I mean, you have the graduations, the moving up ceremonies, the retirement dinners. This is a great time for all of us to get together and celebrate and show that one love, that theme that we have this year. And it affords me one more year to come up with a theme. And I don't know. What did you say before? There was something one of you guys said before. I thought, well, that'd be a great theme. But we'll see. We'll see
You can watch it on tape.
That's true. But
there you go.
I'm very proud to work with every one of you and work with the community members, and we all do it for the children, and they can't be the voices that aren't heard. So unity is the strength we need, and let's do that together for the rest of the school year and next year. And I only want the best for this, for Old Bridge and each and every one of you and your families. So thank you very much.
Last call for stage comments. Okay. I believe.
We are not going to executive session.
I was going to say, I believe we are not going into executive session.
We have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday. We will use that.
Maybe one question to Mr. Vidal, actually. Sorry.
I tried, guys. I tried.
So I know we spoke about working through the finances and the budgets. When is the next plan when we will meet again?
Next Tuesday, he just said. The 25th.
The 25th
Okay.
at
Okay, I missed
7
it. Okay.
o'clock is an advertised committee of the whole budget meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Executive session only.
Perfect, thank you.
25th at 7.
Yeah.
See you there.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Giordano motion.
Francisco will second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion adjourned.